Welcome everybody to podcast number 10, which, yay, double digits now. Today we're going to go through DDO in 2024, do a kind of year-end review. We're going to go through each update. We're going to chat a little bit about each one, and then we're going to go through and just talk a little bit about what we hope and think will happen in 2025. So before we start, I want to have everyone give an intro for themselves. There are prior episodes of this podcast where we cover basically every update this year in more depth. Like we did a 3-hour podcast on Drannor, for example. So if you want to look at the previous episodes and get more in depth on these topics, you can check out those. But anyways, let's do intros for everybody. Aldbar, do you want to start? Just tell them just your name, maybe
Yep.
a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Aldmar here. Well, welcome to not a video, but yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. I started DDO in about 2009, and I started recording videos about 5 years ago. And yeah, so I've been making basically videos about solo walkthrough and guide. That's my main claim to fame, soloing different things. But I've been doing other kind of guides and stuff, and very rarely I've been doing some kind of streaming, but primarily these kind of podcasts is like the most I've showed up on camera when a one-to-one just a conversation. But anyway, so thanks for Axel for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Mary, you want to go next?
Hey, you guys know me as Mary in the game. My channel is MCMXT, and I've been playing DDO since closed beta for Turbine way back in the day. I started my channel when COVID hit, and basically have been going ever since then.
Awesome. Nomad?
I stream on Twitch.
Oh,
I'm on
sorry.
YouTube.
Yeah. Go for it. You can plug if you want to plug your stuff. It's fine. Okay. Nomad, go ahead.
Sure. Nomad Dog. I also started in 2009, shortly after the game went free to play, primarily on Kenneth's server. I've been spending a lot more time over the last couple weeks on Cormier, trying to get my lantern done so I can have my Battle Cat so I can actually play He-Man. That's my plan. And so I stream a couple nights a week. Also stream on DDO stream on Sundays. And that stream in particular, we look at the updates to the game since it went free to play in 2009. Currently finishing up update 42 this weekend. So we'll be running through the cogs tomorrow. And I want to thank Aldbar for all the solo videos because I'm usually running those quests solo. So those actually help out as I'm kind of prepping myself to see what I actually have to do. Occasionally YouTube poster. But I'm excited. It's been about a year since we did the first one when we did the 2023 year in review. So this is kind of cool.
Yep. And Troy, you want to go last?
Sure. That's okay. My family, I'm used to going last, so this will work out well. I'm Troy with Tavern Tales. I stream on Twitch 4 nights a week, and then 1 night a week on Tuesday nights on DDO stream doing Tuesday trivia. I haven't been playing since beta, but I joined the week the game was released with a group of my pen and paper friends who had gotten dispersed across the land, and we started what was going to be a 1 day a week static thing that became a 18-year obsession. So I'm on Orion and mostly on Cormier these days.
Awesome. And I see a few people asking in chat. Yeah, if you want to, guys, as we go through, if you want to ask questions or it's things as we discuss, and we'll have a Q&A at the end as well. So I'll do my best. But if I miss your question or topic, or if we just don't have time right then to talk about it, just bring it up again later at the end, and we'll talk about whatever. Okay, let's talk about the first update of the year, which was update 66. This was February 28th, and it was called Rise of the Dragonlord. We got the Dragonlord fighter archetype. Have you guys been playing Dragonlord at all? Because I've been playing it a ton, and it is freaking awesome. You guys been playing it at all? Am I the only one?
I played it a bit at the beginning, got it for a build, but I haven't played it since. So
Gotcha.
I tried it out, found a place where it should go, but I've ultimately moved back to find myself still playing things with the quarter staff because that's what I default back to. But yeah, I did play it and I found some very good uses for it. I'm probably put it in a build eventually, but that was probably like a month or two at the beginning, and I didn't play it since.
Yeah, I played so many of them. I played pure Dragon Lords. I played lots of splashes, Paladin Dragon Lords, and it's just so good for leveling. You got like Dragon's Roar for CC, and CC that works on almost anything, even undead, that
That's
makes them
great.
helpless. You've got Strength Trance. You got a +2 crit multi in tier 5. You've got the Leap of Faith like ability. I can't remember what it's called, but it's just awesome. It's kind of everything I ever
Oh,
would
Flight
want.
of Kings.
Yeah, Flight of Kings. That's the name of it. Yeah, it's like everything I would kind of want in a leveling character, two-handed fighting leveling character, and I mostly play two-handed fighting characters, so it just really suits me. So I've been really enjoying that a lot. But other things we got in Update 66, there's the refresh of the Epic Destinies. So there were some changes in the EDs, some balance changes among other things. I think this is where they did like the nerf to Dragon's Breath. For me, for the EDs I played, they didn't really affect me much. I think they did a slight nerf to Adrenaline, but I've been using more quick cutter anyways than Adrenaline these days, so that didn't really affect me. It was only like a 1 second addition to the cooldown anyway. But were there particular things with the Epic Destinies that you guys saw that affected the
Yeah,
way you
if you
played or made
remember,
you?
Axel,
Yeah, go ahead.
they killed Adrenaline. Adrenaline used to be the go-to for everybody, and then they killed it and they made quick cuts the
Oh,
go-to.
strongly disagree with that. It's still amazing at endgame, especially at
Oh,
cap.
you
It is.
still like Adrenaline?
Well, I actually use quick cutter more. I think quick cutter is
Yeah,
clearly
well,
better for
that's what I'm
leveling.
saying. Like everybody, when they did this update, quick cut, they made quick cuts into like the most viable ability. So now, if you do melee, quick cuts is like the end game.
Oh, I disagree with that. Adrenaline is still amazing for raiding, particularly for getting giant crits on raid bosses. On say like two-handed fighting builds, you can get like 300k crits. I think it's
Yeah,
still
I
the
still
go-to
use
for
it on my
in-game.
monk thrower.
For leveling
So
though,
I
quick
do.
cutter is way better. I think for sure, especially on builds that lack a lot of AOE.
Quick Butter worked already with just one tier, so starting from level 20, you can just use it straight all the way through. Adrenaline only like gets its full power when you get to tier 4, so you need to be level 26. So that's like the main downside for it. And once you start like investing your points, you're already used to Quick Cutter, you're like, yeah, why do I need to respec to use Adrenaline? But when you have everything spec'd out, if you're at max level, Adrenaline is still good. It's just by then you're like, yeah, I already have Quick Cutter, just keep on using Quick Cutter.
Yeah, I think quick cutter is generally more useful. It can be like even for leveling if you want to use adrenaline. I still don't think it's that bad because you basically have a insta kill a champion or a reaper button, which can be really useful. But yeah, I think most people, myself included, would rather have quick cutter for the AOE damage.
That's really nice on a single weapon fighter where you're usually doing one target, and
Mhm.
now all of a sudden you can do 360 degrees.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, single weapon fighting, two weapon fighting, especially because two-handed fighting you could go adrenaline maybe a little more because when leveling, if you wanted to, just because you already have strike through. But yeah, I mean, quick cutter is so good for the builds without strike through.
I made a lot of videos about this update. I posted probably 30 videos about my charisma-based Dragon Lord. I posted testing videos for all the Epic Destinies when they did these changes. I did like a whole bunch of end game spell tests, melee tests, and I also did range tests. So, like, I still use adrenaline on my monk thrower. I use quick cuts on all my melees, and for the most part, my spellcasters left draconic. Although it's still situationally good if you're using ruin. Obviously, it's going to be based on what you're doing. But like, I found out the best spellcaster epic strike is in Fate Singer. I mean, these are all subjective tests, right? You guys probably have your own opinions about this stuff, but I spent a lot of time on this update back in the day. I
Yeah, I
wasn't very
remember
happy
watching your
with it.
videos. I
I
felt
was
bad for all
not
the
very
platinum you
happy
had
with
to
the
spend.
changes. Yeah, so but it is what it is. Dragon Lord, I think, was the best archetype they've ever made for the game so far. If they keep making archetypes like that, then I think we're going to be positioned well for the future because it makes the game much more like fun to play. I think Dragon Lord was super fun. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been able to use Dragon Lord in a few things. I did a bear druid life, and so I went. What was it? 11. Yeah, it was 11 bear, 8 dragon lord, and 1 barbarian. And that was a lot of fun to play. That was some of the most fun I had played on a melee in a while. I do use quick cutter on my barbarian. Not quick cutter. I do use adrenaline on my barbarian, but I might spec him out into quick cutter. But I found that quick cutter was one of those things that I've used more often than adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I'm still a little salty about is I still miss my healing aura from Exalted Angel.
Yeah, that was a huge change
Same.
because I knew a
Yeah.
lot of people who used that. They took away the what they're referring to as the for anyone listening is the angel. I think it was tier 3, the mantle. There's an ability in tier 3 for the mantle that gave you passive heal, kind of like a radiant servant or a like ability, except way better. And they took that out. I think we've adapted pretty well. I didn't really use it much anyway, just because I don't know. I build my characters to be more aggressive, I think, to where I'm more of the mentality of if you kill things fast, they can't hurt you. So I didn't use it much, but I know a lot of people really like, particularly for soloers. I think soloers really love that. In a group, you don't need it nearly as much. But yeah, Albar's shaking his head because I know he solos a lot. But yeah, for soloers, that was probably a big loss. Or for just, even just maybe more casual players who just maybe just didn't want to worry about looking at their health bar. But Albar, do you have any thoughts on like how has it been for you?
It kind of ruined the game for me for like a few months. I found a way around it. I just came up with a new build that kind of like lives up to the spirit of the other build and gives you the same feeling, but without having the passive healing all the time. So yeah, I'm back to where I was before, but not exactly. It was very relaxing having the ability. You don't have to stress out about things, and just take your time going through a quest. You don't have to worry about instantaneously dying and suddenly things going bad. So yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I can't tell. I don't have any way to influence it now, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, any other thoughts, guys, on changes in the Epic Destinies or Dragon Lord or anything? I know Grandpa in chat said that he likes the Wild Mage and Blightcaster archetypes better than Dragon Lord, because I think we mentioned just a second ago that I forget who said it, but someone said they thought it was the best. I think Mary said thought it was the best archetype in the game. I know I would say I agree with that, but I know a lot of people really love Blightcaster. I remember, what was it? Was it Hardcore Season 8 when I saw a lot of memes going around because like everybody was playing a Blightcaster. Yeah, so. But yeah, there's
really
For
strong.
me, my best is Dark Hunter. Not because it's better, just give me more options. That's all. So that's why I liked it.
Agree.
I think objectively Dragon Lord is better, but I still like Dark Hunter better because for me it's more use.
I wonder if Dragon Lord might be too good. I don't know if SSG is going to end up nerfing it, because it is like, I will say the one downside is like when I play a two-handed fighter now, it's like I can't really justify not playing a Dragon Lord or taking 5 Dragon Lord levels on any build now, because it's just that good.
Yeah, they made regular fighter kind of.
Well,
It's dead pretty much, right? Like, why wouldn't you play a Dragon Lord?
The reason you wouldn't play is because Kensei has better DPS if you're raiding it in game, and that's what you're primarily concerned with. But Dragon Lord is just way better for leveling and CC, and yeah. But Kensei still the math. I mean, you all math nerds out there, check me, but pretty sure Kensei still has better DPS overall. If that's the primary thing you're concerned about, like maybe you're in a raiding guild or something, and all you care about is being at level 34 and doing maximum DPS to the raid boss.
I thought Kensei as a 2-weapon fighter was a lot of fun.
Yeah, my one of my main characters right now is Kensei 2-weapon fighter. It's still super good, and Kensei gets a lot of things that Dragon Lord doesn't in terms of active attacks, fort stripping and things like opportunity attack, a lot of other things that Kensei gets. It's still very, very, very good in terms of DPS. It just doesn't have the flexibility Dragon Lord has with the leap and the CC. The CC is the huge thing with Dragon Lord. The Dragon's Roar is the best ability in the tree, and it's just this huge cone that makes everything helpless, even undead. It works on almost everything.
It'll make oozes on.
Yeah, I think
Like,
oozes it works
it'll
on.
hit
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Which is probably where they would nerf it.
Probably
Because I don't think any other class has the ability to CC everything, right? Or unless I'm wrong.
Well, let me think.
Can't think of one.
Bard songs from
Oh,
Tweeter
the Bard.
12 and
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone, like even just regular fighter, can technically CC almost everything by using, say, trip against undead, and then stun against fleshy mobs, or like wizards have what web for maybe for certain monsters, and other ones they can use dancing ball or holds to where
Oh
if it,
yeah, like there
so,
is
but it's
like
not all in a
you
one
could do.
ability.
Yeah, right. You
Yeah,
could do a utility belt of like 10 abilities that would CC a bunch of stuff, but having one magic button that hits everything, that's amazing.
yeah.
That's where I think it would be nerfed.
I can already
I
see
think
people in
something
the
else
YouTube
that
comments getting mad at me for doing this
I
because
think
if it
something else
happens, they're
that's
gonna blame
important
me.
to talk about with this update, if I might throw this out there, is something that is often talked about with the Epic Destinies with is Shirati Champion. Shirati Champion is really good for ranged, and when they did the update, they kind of made it a little more spellcaster friendly in this update that we're talking about now, 66. But Shirati Champion is still, I would make the argument. I don't know what you guys think about this, but it's still way too ranged heavy. They didn't add enough for spellcasters, and I still think it's terrible for spellcasters. I did a lot of testing with the Epic Strike. The hitbox on it was terrible. It's like a cone, but it's not as good as like the Dragon Roar, for example. And I just find like any caster that I try to play in Shirati, because I really like the tree, just performs a lot worse than all the other caster trees. So I think if I were to say if they need to like pull one up, Shirati still needs like caster love. My opinion.
I don't know. Do you guys play? I don't play Shirati. I mostly play melees, so I don't know.
Only unranged.
Yeah.
I use the Shrati on my Artificer.
Yeah, for
Um,
range, it's awesome still. But I mean, it's pretty much like a one trick destiny. Like it's not good for casters. I know a lot of warlocks who like to use it, and I think that I think it's a trap.
we can blame all those people all those years ago who were abusing Magic Missile.
Albar, do you use Shirati at all?
I still don't get why they tried to make two things in one tree. If you want to make another caster tree, make another caster tree. Why try to shoehorn it inside of the range tree? Let the range tree be a range tree. Whatever.
Yeah, that's
I,
a good
I
point.
don't really get it.
Yeah, there's a few trees like Dark Apostate comes to mind where it's like, do you want this to be a caster tree or a melee tree? Pick one. Anyways, I guess this goes into the next thing where AoE ranged attacks in this update, they added AoE effects for ranged characters. I don't play ranged. Do you guys play ranged? Like, how much of an impact did this have for your characters?
It was a lot of fun. I when that change came out, I had done some testing of it over on Lamania. But then I spent a whole stream respecking my Artificer to cram in as many AoE attacks as I can. I think I got up to like 7 or 8. Between I think Fate Singer, Shirati, and Shadow Dancer. And the Battle Engineer feats were a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I went heavy in Butte Ice and then just all the AoE attacks, which since the change to the ranged thing with the removal of expanded clip and all that stuff kind of takes a little bit of that away because you don't get as much of the, especially like the Battle Engineer stuff, because it procced on every single arrow instead of just a one-shot deal. But I found that the Fate Singer Arrow of Discord was pretty strong. So
I'm glad they
Anyone
added
else?
it, but I haven't had enough time to actually test it out fair to give it a proper review. I'm waiting for my opportunity to do a ranged character, and I'll definitely go full ranged plus AoE.
Yeah, and I know for anyone listening, just the thing before this happened, I know a lot of range players would complain about how with range it's like one single target at a time, and it just was kind of a pain to level. So hopefully, for you players who play bow builds and such, that makes leveling more enjoyable for you. Because I know myself, it's one of the reasons why I almost always play two-handed fighting now, just because I can't stand not having that AoE effect. because in even leveling like to weapon fighting is kind of a pain until you get abilities like Quick Cutter later on where you have some AoE, because it's like, okay, I have to attack one monster at a time. It's just not as it kind of becomes a slog for me. But
My
I have a monk
grognard
thrower
answer.
build, and it's all right.
what thrower?
Just to say it really quickly.
My grognard answer is that from a gaming perspective, I totally get it. I love it. But from a traditionalist perspective, I still like, not every class does what every class does. You have your healers, you have your melee, you have your casters, you have your single target damage, so
Yeah.
I just kind of cringe, but from a game perspective and giving people options, I totally understand it.
Yeah, it's just so much of DDO.
I come from the old school when dwarves and elves were still classes, so
Yeah, it's just it kind of comes down to the way dungeons are designed. I mean, so much of it is focused on groups of monsters, to where you go into room, you have big group of monsters, you need to kill them all, and the best way to do that is with AoE. If they did less groups of monsters and more like in dungeons, more single target, more single target push stuff, it would be different, but it's just not the way dungeons are usually designed.
Yeah, if they made more dungeons where they have tons of orange bosses,
Exactly.
and instead of fewer mobs, and instead of just peppering everything with tons and tons of mobs in every room, you open a door and 5 things come out of you, like just cut down on the amount. Then yeah, you could stay focused on single target. But I don't know why they did it. It was like a shift around Warlock when it came out. Every dungeon since then has tons of mobs.
Yeah, it was especially bad back in the I remember Temple of Elemental Evil, Haunted Halls kind of era. That was a little rough with the amount of mobs. But yeah, I mean, if they wanted to make it a little less painful, they could put more dungeons in the game that emphasize have mechanics that emphasize single target DPS. But I guess moving on here, update 66, we also got Year of the Dragon started. So we had the year. It's a year long giveaway. It goes through, I think, February or March of next year, and they've been giving out something for anyone who hasn't really played DDO who might be listening. They've been giving out something every year or every month. It could be an adventure pack. It could be like a mount. It could be a cosmetic. It could be a pet. But a lot of things, I think for me, the notable things they've given away was the Slice of Life pack, the large green dragon mount. I think the draconic blue wings were cool, and some of the selector boxes I know people really liked. Like they gave away.
Did they give out Dragon Lord?
Yeah, Dragon Lord as well. Yeah, that was free for limited time. And I know one of the selector boxes, like everyone got a Sword of Shadow, so a lot of people really like that. What do you guys think of the Year of the Dragon promotion that they did this year?
How can you complain about free stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
How can you
Whatever it is,
complain about
good.
some very good free stuff?
Yeah, it was nice to, especially like the mount. It gave all free-to-play players a mount. Because
All of my alt accounts.
yeah, all your
amount
alt
of
accounts a
mounts.
mount. So now you don't have to, because the only other way for free players to get a mount is through Night Revels, as far as I'm aware, if you're a free-to-play player. So
If you got the coupons 1 year, then you can go farm out Borderlands, but that's again.
yeah,
it's a
or
grind.
someone could buy you a guest pass for Borderlands. It actually happened in my Twitch stream the other day. Someone hopped in and gave a new player a guest pass for Borderlands so they could get a mount. So, is there any other, like, what do you all like? Are there any other? I guess the only negative thing you could really say about it is it may have taken time away from doing other things, but we can get into that later. But I don't know. I just think it was awesome, and it gave people a reason to log in every month. So I don't really have anything
It's
bad to
nice
say
to
about it.
honor the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. That's
Yes.
cool.
And it wasn't as problematic as the 40th anniversary when we got the Eldritch Card Hunter. But for me, Year of the Dragon, so this is might not be the most popular opinion, but for me, Year of the Dragon was probably the best thing they've done the whole year for everybody.
Mhm.
Right? I think Cormyr was a major thing, but it is VIP only. But Year of the Dragon was something available for everybody throughout the game. I think when you see the video clips of everybody on their green dragon mounts in the Hall of Heroes doing the dancing animation, those video clips, I watched them. I was at work when all that people were doing that. And I'm watching it and I'm like, that is a whole lot of joy that people are getting from this. And I think overall, just the quality of the things that they've given us throughout the year is great, especially if you compare it to the VIP loyalty reward program, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about.
Oh yeah, we will. But yeah, with the dancing, that was hilarious. For like a day or two, all everyone was doing was meeting in the Hall Heroes and dancing. Everyone referred to it as Chonk Fest.
Yep,
we even had
Chonk Fest.
we even
That's
had a
what
Chonk Fest on. I think when we tested Cormier, there was a big Chonk Fest to see if we could lag out the servers. So they did a test before the server actually came out to see if like how much it could handle. And yeah, everyone was just Chonk Festing in the harbor. It was great. I have clips of it on my Twitch channel.
My only critique of it is the theme. I couldn't figure out why everything was blue dragon themed and then we got a green dragon mount. Like that was the only thing that didn't make any sense to me. I'm happy with free stuff, but if the wings are blue and the electric trail's blue and the lightning cloud is going to be like the mount that we get later, I just was kind of surprised that we got a green dragon. Because it's so
To be fair, the
different
hatchling
than
wasn't
everything
blue
else.
either.
Yeah, but the lightning trail and the storm cloud mount, those are VIP loyalty program. Those weren't
That's a
near
good
the
point.
dragon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, as far
That's
as
right, yeah.
as far as the stuff in the
He
year,
needs the wings.
as far as the stuff in Year in the Dragon, what I said at the time, what I think they should have done is just give out whatever color they wanted for free and then put alternate colors in the store, make the game some money. I mean,
I agree with that.
that they should have done that. I
100%.
don't know why they like. Does it take them that long just to do a palette swap of the stuff?
That was going to be my question, because that
Why?
seems to
Why
be
not?
a problem always with the dragon wings, with the dragon mount. Why is it so hard to make it a different
color.
Now, I get from the dragon thematically, if you're going to make it a red dragon, it needs to have red dragon characteristics versus the green dragon or so on. So I kind of get that. But like wings, that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why it had to be blue.
Well, especially stuff like that because it doesn't
It's
take
free,
up
so-
it doesn't take up inventory space. You can just store it on the NPC and talk to the NPC if you want to get your blue or whatever colors they wanted to do, green or I don't know. That was
I
The
think
shit
I
they-
also have.
That's it. Like 25
I might have
bucks
a
right
hot
now.
take too about the wings, but like
go for it.
when they said that they were giving out blue dragon wings, I originally said that I hope that they give you a color selector based on like if you were playing a dragon character, that you could align it with whatever color dragon you were. And I thought that they were going to be like actual leathery lizard-like wings, something similar to the butterfly wings. The fact that they are these sort of like ethereal, electric, shimmering, sparkling, they spark. It's just weird because if you fight an actual blue dragon, they don't even have wings like that. It just makes me wonder where they actually came from. Maybe you guys know. Maybe there's something in the lore that I just don't know. But they remind me so much of the Reaper wings that it just was. It's not that they're not cool. They are, but it's just thematically. I was hoping for something that would look a little bit more organic, like it would look like it was natural, like a natural leathery kind of a wing. Similar
think
to
the
what
re-
you'd see.
I think the reason
on
they
dragon.
did that was because there was so much feedback from the, from the wings in general. Because you get in tight corridors and everybody has their wings on, sometimes it's difficult to see what's going on. And I think if they didn't make sort of transparent, wispy wings, then you'd get a lot of that feedback. But I think it would look cooler, definitely. But I think that's probably why they chose to do that.
I don't really care because I don't really use them much anyway because I don't like visually them getting in the way. But I prefer the more transparent ones just because it lets me see a little easier. Like I know the hardcore wings, what the fairy wings, I think it is. I don't think I would ever use those even if I had them because it blocks your view.
The only time I ever used them was
there's
they looked
definitely
really
that.
funny on a bear.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's two different types of players. Some players don't care about that at all. So I mean, you're right. You won't use
Yeah.
it because it's functionally not there. But some players do care about like how they look. So
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not that I don't care about how I look. I can't see if like I need to see in front of me.
If if I had one criticism about Year of the Dragon, it's just sometimes I think some of the items, and again, I hate venture saying because I love it. I don't want to even say anything negative, but they seem kind of like a slap in the face for people that have either bought things or earned it. Because I noticed they came out with the red dragon mount in a patron's coffer, and so you got this big dragon mount, and then next month, everybody gets a dragon mount for free. And then you've got the Reaper wings people work for, and look, everybody gets little wings that look like the Reaper wings.
Well, and maybe that's
then
one of
now
the
with
reasons. Yeah, maybe that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons they don't want to do different colors, is they want to keep that to Reaper wings, so
Yeah.
those people have something. But
Maybe, but then with the new footprints, they do. I don't know if anybody's seen them on Cordovan's thread. He previewed them on Friday, but they're gold. So they're very similar to the gold footprints we got through the hardcore season, but they have little flames that come off. My question is, why couldn't they have been a different color? I mean, if we're going with the blue theme, make them blue. You know, I mean,
Electric
I don't
blue.
know.
blue would have been
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
a
that'd
great
been fun.
point.
So it's almost like that's my only concern is, you know, people work hard to earn these things, and then it looks like everybody gets it for free, which, again, that's a minor thing, but I can see where some people could get a little salty over that.
But like Mary was saying, some people do really care about the way their characters look. For me, there's certain characters when I play them, I have very specific outfits that they wear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The one thing that disappointed me so far about Year of the Dragon was the prismatic dragon armor. When I saw that, I'm like, where's the prism? It's not, it's very, very subtle, and you got to be in the right light in the right location. You know, it's like the sun's at this specific zenith, and you got to be here at this right angle to see the shimmer. That was the big thing for me, was that armor. I like the way it looks, but it's just, there's no wow factor to it. So that was kind of one of the type of things for me with Year of the Dragon.
Yeah, it's okay. I used it for a little while, and I was like, I like the helmet's kind of cool, but the armor I wasn't too impressed with. But again, it's free. It's like, it's whatever. It's free. Can't really complain. Well, was there anything else with the Year of the Dragon?
You still can complain about free things.
Okay, you can, but it's free, so it's like, whatever.
The truth is, it's not really free. This is a way of them trying to keep you playing their game and hopefully spending money on it. So, I mean, we're not going to complain for them, but it might not be the best investment on their part. If you hype people up and people are disappointed, even though they don't really, it's free. I mean, you're spending time on something that costs you money to make, and your players are not happy with it. It's just a bad investment. So, I'm not complaining about it, but it could be they could have made a better investment. That I would say. Think about it a bit more, or at least try to cash in a bit more if you're already going to do it. Like you said, make multiple colors you can now buy in the DDO store. Yeah, definitely. How many people would buy now wings if you offered them red or yellow or, I don't know, green wings?
Yeah, I mean,
The same exact electric colored.
Well,
So not like keep it different, but I'm sure I'll buy it.
that's the kind of thing I want to see the game make money on. Like, there's a lot of other games. Like, doesn't Path of Exile primarily exist off of cosmetics? I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I was kind of wondered why DDO doesn't do more with that. Like, I don't care. Like, put the wings in the store for 2,000 points. I don't care. Like,
PoE,
it's cosmetic.
PoE actually
Charge
has
whatever you
like
want.
a Fey wing pack that you can buy. You can get all the different. You can get dragonfly wings, fairy wings, butterfly wings, it's basically like what we do over here. And we have our patron packs. As somebody who does, like, I guess I'm in the camp of, I actually really care about what my character looks like, so much so that there's nothing that I haven't changed the look of my character in like years, since they released a bunch of the dark black cosmetics that we can put on as. So my character usually is a drow, usually looks exactly the same. So I do care about this stuff. That's why I noticed immediately, like, why does it look, why isn't this all themed blue as a blue dragon? But I mean, again, it's free, so I'll take it, but I'm not using any of it.
How much would you pay for the black dragon wings?
I mean, I would probably, actually. Yeah, I would probably,
I'm sure
if they
you
were
would.
literally, like, if I could make my character look like a Sith Lord with black, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially I wish they would sell more cosmetics that don't take up inventory space. like that, like sell things we can talk to the Hall of Heroes NPC and get, instead of having to figure out where we're going to put our 18th cosmetic of the year.
Yeah, it's a big problem. I like cosmetics, and I care about cosmetics only for videos. So every time I make a video, I want the character to look like cohesive. So I have to work out the whole set. It has to be part of the theme. But I'm playing a character who's not going to be on camera. I don't care. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just play whatever. Let it look different. I'll change armor and I'll see how the new armor looks. But when it comes to making videos, I literally scan the DDO wiki and make sure there's like entire sets of things that work together, even though you initially wouldn't think that they go together. Yeah.
And
So I know the pain of having multiple cosmetics and entire tunes devoted to keeping cosmetics.
yeah, yeah, right. So Troggy brought up one thing I didn't put in my notes today was the coffers. I guess if you guys have any thoughts on that, we could talk about that now. What do you all think about, like, this year they started doing releasing, say, like the Underdark coffer, for example. They had 3 or 4 of them during the year, and basically you got exclusive cosmetics, exclusive mount, and a bunch of bank space or shared account space in a big bundle that was expensive in the store. But they did that a lot. What do you guys think about that? In full disclosure, SSG did gift me those during the year. I just want to be clear about that.
I think it's great for the game to do stuff like that because it's exactly the model that they're using successfully in other free-to-play games. It's basically you encourage people to give you money for cosmetics that aren't going to increase your power creep, right? So the player base can still progress through, get content done in an organic way. They're not actually paying to win, but they can still support the game. I think it's a massive W doing stuff like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, Lotro's done it for a while. I was surprised it hadn't happened previously on DDO, but yeah, I like Axel. I've gotten some of the packs from SSG as well. I like them. I mean, you get some cool, unique mounts that you don't get elsewhere. Some of the cosmetics are pretty nice. I don't know about the Necromancer one. I'm still kind of on the fence of the latest one, but I like them. I like the fact that people, if they want to trick out their character with a certain look, with certain cosmetics, go for it. I mean, and it's
Axel, I don't know if you pop up images during this when you brought it to YouTube, but if you could pull up an image of the cat mount for the patron coffer and then the cat mount for the hardcore Cormier, they're night and day. Like the patron coffer mount is awesome. Like it's one of the best mounts in the game, I think, versus the Eternia Battle Cat, the Cormier, which is cool, but I think if I were just gonna go for one, I'd go for the black mount from the coffer.
Because it's black.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. It's really cool.
And I want the saber-tooth cat. I want the saber-tooth cat because I want to play He-Man. So, there's a little bit of something for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know how to pull up images during the stream, but yeah, I mean, I guess my overall thoughts on it, I think it's a really good way for them to monetize the game. You're selling stuff that you don't have to have. You're selling conveniences and cosmetics, and we all want the game to exist for a long time to come. So yes, they need to make money, and this is a good way to do it. Now, I do hear some players who get frustrated that they're like, okay, I just want the space, and it costs all this points. I don't care about cosmetics. So I hear that, and the game certainly has issues with storage, and I've been there. You go to reincarnate, and you need to spend an hour pulling everything out of your reincarnation cache. I would love to see them.
Just an hour.
It's really not. See, the thing with that is, to me, it's not that DDO needs more storage space. It needs a more efficient way. It needs account-wide inventory search. That's what the game needs.
Oh.
It doesn't need.
I would pay for that.
That's what the game needs. It doesn't necessarily need more space. For sure, we want more space, and more space is nice, but we're never going to be able to get enough space. We always are going to want more space. So we just need a more organized way to okay, I have this, this epic item. I don't know which of my 20 bank mules. The fact that we have to
can solve that really easy by getting rid of bound to character and just making everything bound to account, which I've been saying that for the last 5 years. I don't think the game needs bound to character anymore. That's old school.
Well,
there's no, in other words, the argument they make is FOMO for raid items, but why am I forced to raid like on a character that I don't want to? Why can't I raid on one character, grab an item, and then send it over to my bard who I never want to raid on? Like, what? How does it keep me playing if I'm not invested in the character that I want to play? I'm forced to play something else. I just don't think bound to character makes any sense anymore.
Yeah,
And if you look at the other games, I'll just end with this, right? Path of Exile, nothing is bound. You can trade and sell literally everything in the game, as an example. And there's 500,000 people logged into that game right now on Twitch or whatever. So, like, I mean, obviously it's a success for a reason. Bound to character makes no sense. Obviously, that's my take. People disagree with it, but
If SSG is so worried about it, they could just make the next raid have items not bound. Let's see what happens. Okay, and if it's so bad, they can make sure that's the only raid that ever happens. But if it happens to be good, so probably we should turn everything else to be bound to account.
I like that.
I mean, just try it. If you don't try, you'll never know. It's based on assumptions right now, so.
yeah, I don't know. I hear both sides of it. They want those raid items to feel special. They want people to have a reason to raid on every character. They want the end game people to have a reason to continue to run raids in end game on different characters, and having to have bound to character stuff that you need on other characters, having to play it on each character gives more life to the end game. I guess those are the reasons for it. I'm okay with either. Mary, do you want to say something else? I know you
no,
disagree.
I'm
It's
just
fine.
disagreeing with what you're saying. I don't want to interject though, because I
No,
mean,
go ahead.
like I said, I'm aware that it's probably a hot take, but I just think
I don't think
as
it
a
is. I think
guy
most
who's
people agree
played
with you.
since- I think as a guy who's played since beta, I understand, bro. I was the first dude on Sarlona to pull the Helm of Morannon. And that was before you could hide your helmet. Like they didn't even have hide helm, so you'd run around with the helm on. People saw it and they knew where it came from. That doesn't exist anymore. That kind of FOMO, nobody cares about what you have. Like, yeah, okay, Sword of Shadows, but you know what? The reality is you can skin that now. They don't even know what sword you're actually using, so it doesn't matter. And the other thing too is like all the cosmetics are not bound to character, right? So like it just doesn't make any sense. None of the mounts are, none of the pets are, none of the cosmetics are. Like why can't I raid on Mary and then send the item to my bard? Like how is that going to break the game? It doesn't. It's not going to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
Well,
there's other examples of
one thing I
other
would
games.
say is gear is effectively not bound to character anyway in raids because raid runes exist. So you can grind out raid runes on any character. Those are not bound to character. So you effectively it already is bound to account because of raid runes. Now, if you get a really cool item that has a mythic +3 sword or whatever from a raid, yeah, you can't pass that. But
Yeah, but the relevance to the conversation is about bloat or character bank space, which is the reason to get rid of it isn't really to kind of affect raid gear and character progression. It's more to address the reality that we all live with, character bloat, and the fact that my main, who has done most of the raiding on my account, has like 50 raid items that are bound to her character that I'm tagging around with me in her bank that I never use because they're from past lives that I got when I was doing my fighter lives. I got when I was doing my bard lives. I got when I was doing my cleric lives. And now I just keep all this stuff. I would rather pass them off to the other characters that I have, but I can't because they're all stuck in her bank and they sit in her reincarnation bank. I have items that I've had in there for like 9 or 10 years.
They added that item that you can
I feel that.
pass items, right? From character to character.
yeah, what is that
What's the thing
called?
called?
I forget the thing in the store. You can now make
Wish
a
of
bound.
inheritance,
Yeah.
something of
Yeah.
inheritance.
It just proves that it's not an ideological thing. Because if you pay them enough money, then you can pass things from
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
I was
right
not a
on.
fan
I'm not. I
of
don't have
that
a problem
item.
with them making the money, but let's do it through a cosmetic. Let me move my stuff around, and then let me buy another coffer. Sell me a coffer where I can buy like give me a coffer that's worth $600. You know, that has like a thing that glows and does a disco ball that has a whatever, like a Thanos style planet that comes down. I don't care what it is as long as it doesn't increase the power, and just let me move my stuff around to all my characters.
I've got a suggestion. how about you make another item called Wish of Inheritance that you can buy with raid runes? Okay, is that fair?
It's not a bad idea.
I mean,
Yeah, well,
I can
that's the
grind
other
out the
thing too.
runes and
Like,
pass the runes.
yeah,
I
having
already got the
things that
item I
are
want.
earnable in game, like this isn't off topic, but like there are things in the game like what lesser hearts you cannot earn anyway. You have to buy them at the store. I think that
Or get
everything
lucky.
should be earnable in game. So I mean, but that's a different
I've
topic.
pulled
So
lesser hearts from chess. I've done it like once
you
or
have?
twice. But
Oh,
yes,
nice. See, I never have.
but
Yeah,
it's just you can't do it
ultra
consistently.
rare,
So I still agree with you.
yeah.
Should be some way you can get it, like
Like a saga turn in or something.
Yeah,
you
I
should
pulled.
be able to collect something called a rare item token, and you get 100 of them. You can turn them into basically anything. I
Yeah,
don't care what it is.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you guys want to say on this? I think we're the only other thing for update 66 that I had was the anniversary party they brought back this year. I don't think they made any. Did they make any changes to it this year? I don't think they did. I think it was just the same as the previous year.
Oh, I posted about that. I asked them why there was no unique reward for the 18th. I noticed, and no, I didn't get an answer. So, I mean, obviously, why would they answer me? But I thought it was very strange because the people who've been playing, like in Lotro, if you play Lotro, Lotro is amazing. Every year, the anniversary event over there is amazing. I log in, I don't even play Lotro really, and I go and play the anniversary event. It's just such they do such a great job. So, I mean, I just don't understand why they don't do the same love for us over here in DDO with the anniversaries, considering that there are a lot of us who've been here for every anniversary.
Yeah, I would love to see them
Probably
expand.
overextended on Year of the Dragon and couldn't find time to for doing anything. So it's like, it is what it is. Probably forgot about it. Remember the last second, just turned it on. Enjoy. Bye.
Like, I would love to see them expand more on some of these events that aren't, because they put all this work into Night Revels, and we have what, 7, 8 dungeons, whatever it is, and like all the other events, it's like, okay, here's Crystal Cove, run this one thing 30 times. Here's the anniversary event, run this one dungeon 20, 30 times. It would be wonderful if we could get more dungeons in these events that other than Night Revels, because Night Revels is awesome. Everyone loves Night Revels, but yeah, go ahead.
I haven't submitted it yet, but it's a I wrote like a Christmas event for them that takes place in Waterworks, and it's like an enhanced area in Waterworks. They'd have to add like something in Lotro. They have that winter town that you can go to. It's a very similar idea, except it's an area under Waterworks. I think they need it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you completely.
I think they've invested enough time already in Night Revels that they could pause it for a little bit and start investing the same kind of love in other events. Give us more dungeons, because the anniversary dungeon was killing me. I can't do it. How am I supposed to get 100 of those party favors? It's just like way too much grinding.
Yeah, well, for that,
I buy the party punch, and you get them off
Well, yeah,
monsters.
they do the same thing.
But
yeah, the anniversary event in Crystal Cove, if you, especially because I know you're mainly solo player, Outbar, like they are good luck if you're soloing. Those events kind of force you to group almost, because it's just way more efficient. Unlike something like Night Revels,
I
where
actually grew up on
I think it
Crystal
incentivizes you
Cove.
to
They broke
solo
me.
a lot of times. What was that, Aldbart? You have an alt.
I actually grew for Crystal Cove. They broke me finally. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. After soloing it enough and getting really, really good at it, I opened up a party and let people be my hirelings. No, I'm kidding. I just like, anybody want to join? And basically, I soloed it. I mean, we made it to more than we got a score over 1,000 at least a few times. So 700 crystals is not bad. But I had to do it with a party. Like having to run back and protect the line every second just drives you crazy.
All right, guys. Well, anything else on U66 before we move on to the next update? Okay. Well, update 67 was on March 27th. And in this update, we got the Slice of Life Adventure Pack, which was free for a limited time. It's not anymore unless you're a VIP. What do you guys think about that adventure pack? Do you like it? Have you run it a lot? This is Fred's first date. I don't remember the name of the haunted house quest, but then you have Too Many Cooks.
This old haunt.
This old haunt, thank you. So Fred's first date, This Old Haunt, and Too Many Cooks. What do you guys think of this pack? This was a very lighthearted comedy themed pack, and this came out just a few months before the expansion. I've been playing it quite a bit. I think the quests are real simple. There's not a lot of monsters in the quest, especially Fred's first date. And yeah, I like it. I've been running them also because I want to get one of those fish swords for a cosmetic. I want to do like make
That's
my
cool.
tank. I want to do like a
Stuff like
homeless
that is
look
great.
for my tank. I want to have him wear like the starter rags with a trash can like shield and then a fish for his sword. That's my goal right now. So
That would
I
be
still haven't
beautiful.
gotten it, but eventually I'll get it.
Yeah,
I've played it a total of 1 time, so
Mm-hmm.
that's my
Yeah.
review. That tell you everything you need to know.
a few times here. There's some good charisma and bard items in a few of them. So once I got those, I quit running them. I mean, they're not bad quests. They're just kind of, all those quests that are at that point, where they're right about, what are they, 18 or whatever in heroic. They're hard to run because by the time you hit 20,
You're gonna go into
it's over.
epics.
So
Yeah.
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 So it's, I don't know, that's the only thing that keeps me from running is that level. And I don't know why SSG keeps making those level 18 quests, but they do.
Yeah,
So.
those quests in the level the 17 to
19.
19 range.
Yeah.
The 17 to 19 range, a lot of them don't get run. But for me, I know the quests aren't for everybody. Some people really didn't. And I think the most polarizing of those quests is probably the Fred's first date. I didn't have a problem with it. I'm like, I took it for what it was, which was kind of a tongue in cheek. Hey, we got this, character that we've had throughout the game forever and a decade, and let's do something interesting with them. And so they did. I didn't notice this until I ran Age of Rage on DDO stream a few weeks ago, when Fred is there in the tavern in Age of Rage talking about his observations of humans as he's trying to understand them. And then now we got, Fred's first date, which is just like a continuation of that storyline. So when they tie things in together like that, I kind of like the lore of inside the game. And so that was something I was like, oh, hey, yeah, that's interesting. Other than that, yeah, they're simple, they're straightforward. There's not a lot to them. But that level range is kind of iffy for heroic.
Right.
Legendary, fine, but heroic, it's just kind of in that place. It's kind of like why I don't run a whole bunch of Vecna at heroic.
Here's an interesting bit of lore that you can do for people coming over from Baldur's Gate 3. The canon ending for Baldur's Gate, when you side with the Emperor, he flees and says that he's going to go and hide out. It's entirely feasible that the Emperor from the Forgotten Realms came over to Eberron and actually took the name Fred, and it's the same dude.
Ooh.
Really easy to do that thematically, which I think when I play Fred's first date, it's very easy for me to see that this was made for people who are fans of Baldur's Gate 3. Because you're encouraged to romance the Emperor in Baldur's Gate without giving spoilers for people who haven't played it. I liked all the quests, though. I thought they were fun.
Yeah, I think one thing I remember this time of year, I mean, I saw a lot of people kind of upset a little bit about how kind of cheesy and lighthearted these quests were. But I think later on in the year, people were hungering more for serious content. But I think we got that later in the year with Myth Drannor. But so I think those concerns were alleviated pretty quickly. But yeah, it was kind of immersion breaking, I guess, for people if I had to say something negative about it. But I don't know. I enjoy the quests. I've been running them quite a bit. Both in heroics and in legendary, because they're just efficient and pretty easy for the level. And I think the gear is really cool. There's a lot of really cool cosmetics as well if you just want some cool cosmetics. Like there's a chef's hat. We already talked about the fish swords. What else? There's a few other outfits and things that are neat. Well, anything else you guys want to say on Slice of Life? All right. What else? We got various bug fixes in this update. We got the VIP loyalty program, so we can talk about that now. That launched on May 1st.
Oh boy.
So what do you guys think about the VIP loyalty program? And have you been VIP because of the program, or has it affected your desire to stay VIP?
I'll sum it up this way. I ended up going VIP when I started streaming hardcore a lot more often because I wanted to be able to open everything on Elite. And that was my main reason for going VIP. Prior to that, I had been premium for most of the time I've played DDO. When they announced the VIP loyalty program, I was underwhelmed with what the offerings were. There's a few cool things in there. But now that we're what, 8 months in, 6 months in, seven, something like that, there has not really been anything in there that would make me go VIP if I wasn't already VIP. It's nice having extra stuff, but for me personally, there's nothing in there that says, hey, this is like the value that you want for being VIP.
I completely agree.
Yep, same. I'm VIP because of the exact same reason on Elite. Actually, I like the skipping quest on the on the sagas as well. But I mean, I was at the risk of sounding just altruistic. I just like supporting the game at some point in time. You know, I've played this game since it launched, so I want the devs to eat and keep making games. So I mean, so that's part of the reason why I pay VIP. Most of those gifts they've given VIP, I've even opened them. I mean, I've got them, but I've never pulled anything out of the bags or the bag of many things or anything yet. They're just all sitting in my bank.
The main thing I saw on there that I was like, "Ooh, I want that," is the I think the +20 heart is one. I'm not sure, I can't remember if we've already had that.
It's coming up.
It's coming up, right? Okay, so that's like the one thing I saw on the calendar. I was like, "Oh, that's actually really nice," because I can play a past life, get a past life, and for a class I don't want to play, essentially. But that's the main thing. I
There
don't know.
are restrictions on that, though, Axel.
Well, if you have 3 classes, you can't do a
I
fourth.
mean, yeah, but that's a big
But if you're like a
deal
pure
because
paladin, say, and you need
I have a friend who was playing and bricked his character doing a +20 wrong, and stopped playing as a result of it.
how did that happen? Because
He had 3 classes and didn't realize when he was respecking,
oh yeah,
like he did something wrong. I mean, I didn't do it, so I don't know exactly how he bricked it, but
okay, yeah. So the game, if you can only involve 3 classes in the reincarnation process, so you couldn't change from like a 18 fighter, 1 warlock, 1 cleric to a pure sork or something. But yeah, you
so
have to know about that.
for somebody who doesn't know, like a new player, like I mean, it wouldn't. It's just that's another conversation.
Yeah,
for
it's
the
a
for
broken
the
system for sure.
I think
yeah,
they
it's
wish
it's busted.
it's not intended design. I don't think they wish they could change that. It's just a technical thing. They either don't know how to change it or they can't change it. It's just a coding thing is the way I understand it. And that's why they always offer when you buy like a heart like that in the store, they always give you a +5 for free. So you can hopefully avoid that issue. But
Get
yeah,
rid of the yeah. I
but
think from my perspective for VIP, I've always been a VIP. So you're talking to a person who's never played this game, not a VIP. If I'm not VIP, I'm not playing. I've always been VIP sub to this game since I've been able to. And I don't really know the gameplay of it without it. So I know that like I have another account that I've run around on and there were a lot of stuff I couldn't do. I kind of think that they should change that. I think that they should make it so that anybody who's playing for free has the same experience I do. And then I think for VIPs, they should get this was my idea, and I've been saying this for the last 5 years. I think VIPs should get unlimited storage space, shared storage space, unlimited shared storage space. And I think what happens is you can buy the storage. When you unsub, you keep that. And then if you have over that, you can pull out. So let's say you bought 100 spots in your premium or free to play, and when you were VIP subbed, you put 200 items in there. Well, you can't put anything in there until you pull out 101 items, and then you would be able to put 1 item back in there. You'd be capped at 99, right? Like whatever that is. But if you guys know, the Fallout 76 does that. You sub for VIP. It's a great example of a game where you're constantly picking up thousands of items, and as a VIP, you get unlimited shared storage for all this junk that you're picking up. And when you unsub, you have 5,000 items now. You can use it Now, I think over in DDO, we don't want the characters to run around with 5,000 items, right? But I don't think people would. I think if they got if we go back to the other thing, if they got rid of bound to character and you can put stuff on all your different characters, I think there's only a real need for what's the maximum you guys are probably running around with. Like, I don't even think I have 400 items in my shared storage. So I don't think I could put more in that. I have a bunch of stuff in my crafting storage, like 2,000 things there, but I don't know. I mean,
I
I don't think I'd just start picking everything up and running around with 10,000 things, but
I will say when I did sub for VIP this year, I tend to go on and off with it, but I'm subbed right now. I was a little surprised that you don't get a lot of the storage upgrades with VIP. I think you should get more of those. I don't think technically the servers could handle unlimited space, but I wish you at least got some of the upgrades with VIP, some of the storage upgrades. And I think you get a few, but you don't get very many. Like I've had to buy a lot of shared bank space and such.
My
Well, it's
take
a
on VIP
lot.
is kind of similar to everybody else over here. If you're not already VIP, the new VIP program doesn't like really convince you to become VIP. I don't see anything on the list who's like, oh, I have to become VIP now. But they do have a few things on the list who are kind of like traps, kind of like the storage thing, where once you have it, if you get used to it, becoming unsubbed will kind of like, no, I really want to go back to that before. It's like once you've got used to like depending on it, I think it'll be hard to go back. So if that's so far, that's like the best thing that they've done so far for them. I mean, is adding things that are minor traps. Once you get used to them, you don't want to go back. But there's nothing on the list you can look at and you're like, you know what, I'm going to sub just because of this. I'm subbed because I'm subbed already. Because like you said before, you don't want to do things on like have to open them on a hard and then elite. If I open up a new character, I don't want to go through that. Just let me run elite. So things like that, or getting the extra skip, and those are the things that make me want to become VIP. So nothing on the new list made me want to become VIP.
I
Right.
mean,
Like
do you guys think I'm crazy? I think you guys are the exact right audience to ask. If you could VIP sub and you got free, the unlimited shared storage, would you VIP sub for that? I
We're
mean,
already
think about
subbed,
what
but
you could
yeah, of
do.
course.
You could
That's
take
right.
all 40 of your characters, throw everything from all 40 characters into your shared storage, and then actually move it to where it belongs instead of doing what I think Axel you said earlier. You want an account wide search because you don't know who has what. I have exactly the same thing, man. Like I have
yeah.
60 characters. I have no idea what I even have.
Well, if they
I
could
don't know.
Experimenting
technically do that, I
characters
just don't
for
think
every
they
level.
could make unlimited shared bank storage without killing the servers. I mean, I don't think technically they could handle that. I mean, I don't know anything about it, but that would be my suspicion. They've talked about in the past how inventory has been a load on servers. There's only so much it can handle, so I feel like they probably can't do that. I mean, imagine the bank lag.
I,
Imagine the
I
effects on
would
the server.
That's it.
I would love to have more storage. I have more bank tunes than I have playable tunes. And
I
I,
agree.
and I have found that I have ended up building like Feywild bank tune. And all my Feywild stuff goes on one tune. Ravenloft, Isle of Dread, Sharn. Right. So like whenever there's an expansion, I build a new bank tune and I put all the stuff on there and and then I forget. I mean, that's the easy part. My older bank tunes, which were like failed builds from like 2011, I mean, I go in there and I'm like, what random crap do I have in here? That's that's so having
Random
the
loot with single buffs, like
old
plus 4.
old stuff that doesn't exist in the game anymore, I still have. Um, so
Right.
having a way to organize it better. I don't disagree with you, Mary. I would love to have some sort of large storage with a way to search it that's reliable, that allows me. Because the big thing with the banks now is you can't always look up items by minimum level because you go through and you could search by the level,
That's true.
but in some of those items, they might be a legendary item, but they show up when you do a search of like 1 to 5 because for some reason it doesn't register the minimum level on
You
that
move it
item.
from your bank to the shared bank, and it loses its minimum level. It shows
Yeah,
up as no level. You have to move it into your inventory first.
yeah. And it's such an annoying thing when I'm trying to do searches for gear, when I'm
Right.
doing a TR or something. That is something I would actually like love to see fixed.
Even if they just make a gigantic index of all your items and give you access to this index, okay, it's just a list with
Yeah, that would
logs
be
from all your
great.
characters, and I'll keep it on the other characters. I mean, just give me the index now, okay, so I can see it. I know you guys have an index. I mean, the game has an index of all your items. Let me see that index. Doesn't automatically allow me to access the item, but I can see I have
What if
such an
you haven't
item.
logged the character in 10 years? Does the game
Well, you
even
have to
know
log it
about it?
in one time for it to update the index
You
once
know
they
what I
add it
mean?
to the
Like
game.
Yeah.
I have characters I haven't logged in probably 10 years. I play
Yeah, I know
one
what you're talking
character
about.
on Sarlona. Right now I play one character on Cormyr. And I have 60 characters. There 59 of them are bank tunes, bro. Like it's insane. I don't even know what I have. I honestly don't know half the stuff I have.
I have bank tunes, but they're all set up by level, so I have all my items per level. So at least I know that my level 29s are all on one item, on one character, who's bursting. By the way, he has way too much gear. Yeah, that's one problem.
But-
But I did remember something that I have to say. There's the one thing that made me actually become VAP after not being a VAP for many years, when they added an offer that if you became VAP during this month or 2 month period, you would get this VIP ticket from Saltmarsh, which is the most broken, overpowered thing that they've ever added. Because I don't know if they realized it, but every time you make a new character, you get one of these tickets. It gives you, I don't know, a few hours of extra, chance to get named loot. So I use it I make a new character, get the ticket, and then all the lower level quests run through them. And then when I'm re-rolling for shards, I already have a very increased chance, and I usually get my things very fast. So if I want, I can just delete the character and get another one and do it again. So I have endless VIP tickets. So it was like the thing who made me become VIP. And ever since then, I've basically been VIP. Maybe a few months off, but basically that was it. So if they add more things like that, they'll get more people who are VIP.
And Troggy mentioned player housing. Yeah, I don't know enough about how that works in other games, but I
I
do know.
talk about that all the time.
Do you?
I won't here because I could talk about it for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like
It's
building a
something
whole
that
new system in game, though.
But the other way to solve the inventory problem is, we clearly, if you look at Matrix Builder and some other things, we have a community that will write tools. The answer is just write an API, one API that lets you access your inventory offline and then outsource it. Let other people write the tools for it.
well, this does already exist
Everybody
in
would.
Yeah, it
Dungeon.
does
Yeah,
already
sort of.
exist.
Dungeon Helper. I haven't used it, but I've
Yeah,
heard it
kind of.
exists on Dungeon Helper.
But it's
my
kludgy
inventory
to get
search.
across everybody. So, I mean,
Just
they kind of have to
Me from
open it up a little bit.
but if it would be easy
I
for SSG, just like Albar said, just export a list of all my items on each character. Period.
mean, but we're sitting here saying this as guys who played this game. Think about it from the perspective of a new player. Think about it if you just dropped into this ecosystem coming from a different game, and now all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, you might as well get used to the idea that you're going to have to make 5 characters, one to carry your level 1 to 10 items, one to carry your level 11 to 20 items, one to do all your epic items, one to do your legendary items. The person's going to be like, can I just play the game? Like
When you
Right.
start, you just play the game. It's
Yeah,
only
I was gonna
starts
say I
once
don't
you've been
think new
playing the game
players
for a few years.
are gonna have a problem because they're just not gonna have very many items. It's gonna takes years to build up a huge inventory of items.
Yeah, but that's the perspective that you have. You'd be really, really surprised. I've played with a lot of new players and doing hardcore over the 9 seasons. I've seen a lot of things that you'd think wouldn't happen.
I mean, I started playing on a fresh free to play account a few months ago, and I'm up to like level 12, and I haven't even used my bank yet. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm more not as pack ready as other people. Maybe.
But you also solo raids, bro. Like you know this game, man. Like
You know what to
it's
keep. Yep.
yeah, like it's from a perspective of somebody who doesn't understand this game. I have friends who stopped playing for reasons that you would think are just ridiculous, but they don't want to do it. One was the plus 20 heart. Another was the fact that they at the end of hardcore season 7 they deleted the astral shards that people had. I don't know if this without mentioning that, but there was nothing said about it. They just basically, deleted the server, which I knew they were doing, but this person didn't know because they were new to the game. there's just things that people don't know.
Yeah, like no argument for me that the game has massive inventory issues. It definitely does. So if we can get some kind of whatever they can do, export. I mean, count-wide inventory search would be the best case scenario, but just something would be better than the current situation.
Yeah, having our Astro shards be account wide instead of server specific.
Yeah.
Would be
It's just
also
like the
another.
DDO points, yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to say on the VIP loyalty program before we move on to the next update?
I think it's a
just-
step in the right direction. Like, I definitely think it's
yeah.
great. Like, it certainly is a signal that they are trying. So I thought that was a W for the game.
I will say it is definitely better than the original iteration that was brought up in, I believe, March of 23, when they were talking about fletching as one of your perks.
I remember that.
I am, as much as I'm not super impressed with like the VIP artisan thing or the heroic durability, or even the ability to swap your spells, because that only lasts for an hour when you log in. Then you have to log out and then log back in order to swap spells. That thing that they gave us. Those things are like okay, but it's still way better than getting fletching.
I think
Alright.
that the 1% that they're going to add, this, I mean, wasn't added yet, but the 1% chance of named loot is flying under the radar of many people, not realizing how good it is, for the simple reason that there's a whole bunch of items in the game are super rare, like the card to like remove curses or whatever it is. You got like a 1 in 10,000 chance, but now you've got a total 1%. So that means suddenly, like, rather than doing thousands and thousands of chests, after 100 chests, you can like, hope to get it. Find anything who's got a sub like 1% chance suddenly has a full percent that you can get it, which is crazy. So, yeah, I think that suddenly having very, very rare items have an actual chance of dropping is underestimated, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so update 68 was on June 12th, and it was the Magic Myth Drannor pre-order. So the pre-order bonuses and all that stuff came out. We got the Eladrin race, Eladrin Chaosmancer Iconic, the Wild Mage Archetype. Have you guys played any of these this year, and what do you think about it?
Loved it. I love all the archetypes. The Wild Magic has been a surprising amount of fun. I really like it. And it was rumored that in the beginning they were going to have more effects that were like party-wise, like real Wild Magic. And I'm so glad they didn't do that on negative things. It's like, way to make your Wild Mage never get invited to a raid. But but it's the way it's implemented. I think it's great. The only thing is, it shouldn't drop Galata to the Still, and it should be Tavern Tales Ale, and I will die on the hill. So
I gotta be honest, other than testing on the Mania, I haven't played any of these on the live servers. But that's just me. I play melees. I don't really play casters, and this was more of a. I mean, not that you can't play these as melees, but these were more caster focused races, especially the Iconic and the Archetype. But I think they
I
look
think
cool.
it's super fun.
I've heard they're really good.
This is a great update. This is a great expansion. I think I made 50 videos about Myth Drannor. Between doing my 3 Wild Mage Chaosmancer lives and running around Myth Drannor doing the different quests. They got Amelia Tyler to voice some of the quests out there for the fans of Baldur's Gate 3. Like, she was the Dungeon Master in Baldur's Gate 3. She Dungeon Masters over here for some Myth Drannor quests. Again, massive W for DDO to get her. Super fun lore-wise, the quests. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect expansion at all by any means. There's a lot of things that pull it down. On my tier list, I rated it as an overall, like, I think it was a B.
Yo, let's do Eladrin and the Chaosmancer and the Wild Mage, and we'll get into the expansion here in just a second, because that'll be in the next update. Have you played the races or Iconics or anything, Mary?
Yeah, I did. I played everything. Played them all. They were super fun. Now, me personally, I am completely sick of Wild Magic, having done the 3 lives and played through it all. Initially, I thought it was really cool. I personally got sick of the procking of the random effects, like turning yourself to stone in the middle of a fight. It's just what can you do? Nothing you can do. So, but I think for
100%.
someone who likes that sort of a thing, it's great. Like if that's your thing, it's super fun.
I would just like the sound effects of the whatever the fart sound is. I would just prefer that only they hear that. I don't need to hear it. But that's just me. The only one I played, so I did when we had the early access for the creators. That was like the most I played a chaos mage. It was fun. Go out
Same for
there,
me.
mess around with it. I think I did a 6 hour stream that day, looking at all the different stuff, respecking and doing past lives and
Mm-hmm.
so that was a lot of fun. I did play an Eladrin. I tried to play a melee Eladrin because I wanted to see if that strength bonus from what being in summer or whatever would make a difference, and I didn't notice much. Other than that, I'm gonna get to my iconic lives at some point to get through all of those. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's the Eladrin race, the look and the customability of the Eladrin race, in my opinion, was nice. You get kind of those for people who want to be able to have like that, autumn look or the leaves and stuff. Some people like the way, like Mary said, like the way their characters look. And I think that customability for some people is going to be a good thing for them.
Yeah, like visually for anyone listening who doesn't know, like they have dual hair color options. I think visually they just look really good whether we're talking the Eladrin or the Wild Mage. Like some of the magic procs I think look really awesome. But
All right, I'm going to disagree on the look. Now, I do like the multi hair colors and those sorts of things, but the Eladrin are supposed to be this beautiful, otherworldly race, and it's so easy to make a really hideous looking Eladrin if you're not careful. And that's okay if you want to make that, but you try to go the other side and make that beautiful Eladrin, you got to twinkle around a while. I'll just say, and the dance. Just don't get me started on the dance. The dance is awful. So, but that's my only complaint. I mean, I love the race specs. I love what really matters. But God, the looks of those things, I would have thought they would have done better by now.
did they ever fix the car salesman balloon dance thing with them?
Yes, but now it's worse. Now it looks like you're doing an interpretive dance while having a seizure or something. It's horrible.
I want to play an Eladrin
That's what
now.
you get for asking to fix something.
Yeah.
Is it the iconic or is it both?
It's the Eladrin, both of them. Yeah,
it's
the
both.
dance is the
Okay.
same. It's
I
bad.
completely agree. By the way, I completely agree, and I think the fundamental issue is the Eladrin model is human, like underneath it is a human model. It should have been the elf. So
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I was
would
excited that
make
they added
dramatic
2 tones to the hair. That was it. I was like, now do it on all the other characters. I don't care about the Eladrin look, but give me 2-tone hair on every other character in the game.
yeah,
That
Yeah, that was
I
cool. That
completely
was cool.
agree. That should be something that you can apply to a character. As somebody who collects hair dye, yeah, you should be able to do all that stuff on your character.
Make
Completely.
that a VIP perk.
Yes,
Yeah,
Now
really.
I
we're
agree.
talking.
I completely agree.
That's good for new players also. Become VIP, you can
Absolutely,
super
man.
custom.
Yeah, totally.
So the
See,
other
we nailed
awesome.
it eventually.
So the other thing they did this update was Crystal Cove, which was July 18th to 28th. I didn't play it this year. I did last year, but I just didn't need. I don't think they added anything. Did they add anything this year? I don't remember them adding
I
anything.
think they added the max level for stuff, right? Level 34
Oh
stuff.
yeah, they
Or am I
updated the
wrong?
levels. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if they
think so.
did they update the
No.
loot.
No,
No,
there's no
okay.
loot update.
There was no
other
34.
other than the update to the levels.
Okay,
Nothing new in terms of the
Gotcha.
items.
I finally got. I had to farm out some strength augments, so I played it. And because I actually happened to have a character at level who could do it when the event was up, I actually finally made a video about it. So it's like every time, by the time it shows up, I want to make a video. The event's over. It's like, yeah, whatever. So I finally got one out. Like, okay, good. Now I have a guide for Crystal Cove.
Okay. Well, anything else
think-
on the pre-order? Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
I think there's some iconic things about DDO that if I'm away from the game, I think about, and one of it is the kobolds working along the line of Crystal Cove. I think the same thing for the House Cannith challenges where they do those little voice lines where they say all that cute stuff. I think it's a great, like, I didn't need to do the event this time around either because I have everything that I need, but I mean, it is something that the event overall I like. So
Yeah, I like it.
I
I
think
just
it's
want to
cool.
see more different courses, more than just one. Same with the anniversary event. Just give us a couple other courses. Because I mean, there's multiple other Kobold courses, like in the Kenneth challenges. They could add those and mix them up a little bit. I don't know.
yeah, they're all basically the same.
Something to make
but
the repetitiveness, help with the repetitiveness.
Well, and to some extent, the fact that you really have to group with that, the more the level cap grows, the less effective that event gets, because it's like now you're spreading out the group of people that are running it. So it's harder to find a good group at your level sometimes without a significant wait for people or pre-planning or something. I mean, it's less spontaneous than it was back when there were 20 levels and you could find people at your level all the time. So.
Yeah, if you're at level cap, it's probably not going to be too difficult to get a group at some point. But if you're at level 12, like, good luck getting a group that's going to give you max ingredients, because the level range rules on these are very
And
picky.
much harder to run because your movement speed is less and everything is harder. And your reward's worse. So it's like, it really punishes you for doing a low level.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I don't do it. Because I mean, this year to me has been the focus on past lives. I think I've run to be more prepared for end game. So I have been doing nothing but pretty much past lives all year long on characters. So.
Yeah. Did you know that in the Crystal Cove, the progenitor crystal only spawns from level 21 and up?
Really?
I mean, that's nonsense. Yeah, so it's like you do it on a low level, no progenitor crystal. There's 100 crystals you're not getting. It's like,
wow,
why?
That's crazy.
I didn't know
painful
that.
things
Wow.
I found out when trying to make a video.
But that being said, I don't want them to put a lot of. I mean, if they've got limited dev time, I don't want them to put a lot of dev time into redoing Crystal Cove. Just leave it out there, and it is what it is. And heck, nothing else. Make it a level 20 to 34 only event and call it a day. I don't know.
It's just if they do put dev time into an event,
requirements of the amount of crystals. It's just too many crystals. It's too much grinding.
like this year they added a new quest for Night Revels. It's like, guys, there's quests in Night Revels that you all don't even use every year because you have so many, because you swap one out every year. Like, why are you adding?
My favorite one.
Like, add the extra
the
quest.
chamber one.
Yeah,
it's my favorite.
Yeah, the Cold Chamber one and the Haberdasher I don't think were available this year. So instead of adding another quest for Night Revels, add it for, add another course for Crystal Cove or the anniversary event or Snow Peaks or something. Like, so we have more variety. But anyways, is there anything else you guys want to say on the Myth Drannor Preorder stuff before we get into the expansion? Okay, so
about the packs and pre-order packs.
What is it? Oh yeah, yeah. Was there anything you wanted to say about the different tiers of the pre-order? So it was
that +3 tome was the reason to buy it, as far as I'm concerned. The
yeah.
+3 ratio tome.
I brought that up when I covered it.
It's solely the thing to buy them. That's it.
That's huge.
Also the backflip on the carpet. That's the reason.
Yeah, the carpet.
Not for me,
really
but
cool.
I definitely see people buy it just for the backflip on the carpet.
Yeah, so for anyone listening who doesn't know, the carpet comes with the highest tier bundle, and yeah, it was definitely one of the cooler mounts.
And the hireling. The hireling is still one of the best ones we've got.
Oh gosh,
she's really good.
Absolutely.
Rana or Rainer, whatever name they decided on.
Rana, I think Rana, I believe is how you spell it.
Rana. She's super strong.
She's a druid.
You're talking about the epic one or the heroic one?
Both.
Man, she is spot on that res when you
Yeah.
die too, man. She's that reincarnation
she's
right
great.
there.
She spams vigor on you. She shoots things with her bow. She's in Shirati. They have her in double rainbow. I mean, she's awesome. It's something, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but she's one of the, I think only two of our hirelings actually are in an Epic Destiny. One is Teal, and one is Rana.
What about the one? What is it? The rat rogue? Is she not?
No,
No,
she's
she's
not
not.
in a
Huh?
Oh God.
Destiny. Now, whether or not behind the scenes, but it doesn't display on her, I don't know though.
Hmm.
Would be nice.
She can at least, because that's the one, the level 18 one is the one I've been using a lot, because she can actually get a lot of locks and things and traps in epic level quests.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
that's
level.
true.
She's at least useful
The
for
thing
that. But yeah,
you
Rana
can
is
use
like super good though for like a general use hireling that most people are going to want for someone to heal and raise and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, anything else you guys want to say? We'll talk about the expansion now. So, the expansion update 69. It was on August 14th, and it included a new wilderness area, a huge wilderness area, 13 new quests. They're level 13 heroic, 35 legendary. And then later on October 2nd, so this would have been about a month and a half after the expansion launched, they gave us the raid from the expansion, threats old and new. So what do you guys think about these the new content in the expansion? I guess it's not very new anymore.
I already mentioned it, so I'll like finish the thought. Like I think two different ways to look at it. If you look at it just like content, thematic, lore, it's basically like one of the best. It's great. Like I mentioned, they got Amelia Tyler to do the voice. A lot of the quests are super interesting. The zone is huge. Um, it's a lot of fun because it is a return to the Forgotten Realms, which they really haven't done anything this epic since Menace of the Underdark, which a lot of people think is like the best expansion this game ever had. It was my favorite, and I voted for Myth Drannor when they gave us the ability to vote on where the game should go next. So I think it's great. That being said, in actual like gameplay wise, like I said, it's not an S tier for me. There's a lot of things that pull it down. You made a great video, Axel, talking about the loot percent drops out here. The zone is so big, it's really hard to find all the rares and the quests unless you pull up a map, which you have to do on a, the map in game isn't very good, so you have to sort of use an external map. And I found that I have literally nothing from that expansion on any of my characters. Like I haven't pulled any of the gear. So I don't know anything about like what sun or moon augments are great. I have no idea. I did my 3 Chaos Mancer lives too and didn't get any gear out there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think
All right.
yeah, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Troy.
I was just going to say this has been my repeated issue with Myth What I don't understand is timeline wise where it fits in the lore. Because there's I mean, if you follow the history of Myth Drannor, sorry, it's still hard to say that, even though I know that's the way Ed Green would pronounce it. It doesn't sound elvish to say Myth Drannor, but there's a whole section of lore with Elminster in Myth Drannor where he drops an entire Netherese city of shade on Myth Drannor, and it happens before the timeline where it seems the realms is in the game. So I don't understand why they just ignored that whole part of the lore to me. It's maybe we'll get it later. I don't know, but it just seems like, it made it more rich to have the city of Myth Drannor plus the ruins of the dropped ship in the middle of it. I don't know. It's like they just chose to ignore that whole part of the system. I guess in this world, Elminster was piking when that happened, and it didn't happen here or something. But yeah, I like the Myth Drannor lore from in theory. In execution, sometimes I wonder what they were thinking, but anyway, it doesn't distract from what's there. I like it, but I don't understand why they just omitted that part.
Yeah, for me, I'm not super deep in Forgotten Realms lore. I know bits and pieces. So for me, I visually I think it looks great. The way they made the cities and how it looks run down. The one thing though is I kept wanting to go into those buildings and explore the buildings, right? Because just how they're dilapidated, and I just wanted to go in and look around, right? But I can't do that. I agree. The map is huge. This is also it's been a while, but the I look at Ravenloft as an example, right? Ravenloft also has a very huge wilderness area, and there's the option to teleport out to the quests, which we don't have here, right? And like Mary said, if you don't have the in-game map open and you have the quest highlighted in your quest journal, and you like run towards that arrow, it's sometimes very difficult. I had a tough time finding like the standalone quests that you don't pick up, but you have to go there to get it. It took me a while to actually find those in the wilderness.
Yep.
To this day, I still don't know where the dragon or the worm spawn. I haven't wandered around the wilderness enough to find them. But I like the wilderness area. It is really big. And for me, overall, the quests for the most part are good. I was hoping it would be a replacement for Giant Hold for leveling. For me, it isn't. It's a good change. If I don't want to do Giant Hold that life, I could go do some Myth Drannor quests. But I was hoping that I would have something new to kind of put in the rotation. But Giant Hold still is like the XP is good and it's
Right.
quick, as opposed to the length of some of those quests. And then my only other comment with regards to the quests was when it first came out, the fact that you would change a level in the quest and your entire map would go back to Fog of War
Oh,
was an absolute pain in the backside. And even after they did some of the fixes, you still encountered it, and it was a pain. And there were some things that some of those quests would break if you didn't go to a specific spot at a specific time.
Death Hostess Banquet was the one that did that. That was
Yeah,
horrible.
that was bad.
The good news is I learned the path through that quest really quickly because it was required basically
you had
because
to,
you couldn't
yeah.
get the map.
Yeah, no, I think it's the expansion had some good parts and bad parts. Like I think it was a mixed bag for me. I think the wilderness area was awesome. I know a lot of people really liked the wilderness area. I think the quests are mostly good. I think they tried some new things. Like we got a new puzzle type. I like the quest where you have that big optional riddle with the wizards, and it seemed like that seemed to draw from the D&D movie a bit. But I think the things that were a disappointment were, of course, the raid was the big one for me. I don't enjoy the raid. I think that they should have spent more time on it, been more creative with the map design, and do more than just have giant bags of hit points. And the other thing with a lot of people mention is the drop rates, which have been really they introduced the rare loot system, and yeah, a lot of players just don't like that. I my original plan was to put together a heroic gear set to go along with my Sharn stuff for iconic reincarnations, but when I saw that, I just didn't bother, and I still have not bothered trying to grind out anything. Especially when it comes to a lot of the really rare stuff in the wilderness chests. They're like the purple named rares. It's really rough. And they did make some changes. I know a couple weeks ago, they said that they put a chance for the rare augments to appear on the Saga reward list, but it's only a chance. Even on True Elite, it's only 34%. And they raised the rate on the purple named rares. This was just a few weeks ago, but I don't know by how much. It could be 5%. It could be 0.0005% for all we know. But yeah, those were kind of my thoughts on the expansion overall. Like good quests, but I don't find myself enjoying. Really, the raid was the main thing. I was really hoping for a good raid because raids are my favorite thing to do in DDO, and the raid for me has just been, it's just kind of a slog. It's not very interesting to me. But yeah.
Yeah. My short take on the whole thing is that I felt like they tried to take a certain amount of content and then spread it out and try to make more than what it was, and they ended up like spreading it too thin sometimes. Some of the quests just feel too long. And again, like the same thing with Giant Hold. If people are still running Giant Hold instead of it, it just means that the XP per minute is not as good because, well, you're just running more time. Every quest that they made, they just dragged it on the map to be even farther away. You have to walk more and the quest itself has longer hallways, and it's just like the raid boss also the same thing. It just has way too much hit points. It's not like they made more content and made more fun or whatever it is. It just they had whatever they had and then they dragged it out, spit it out too much. So it kind of ruined a lot of the quests for me. I'm just like the shorter quests I enjoy them, but the ones that are longer is like if I have to do it for a saga or something, I'll do it. But I'm not going to do it for XP or for leveling or anything like that because why would I run this kind of drawn out quest? I mean, the other reason you would run it is for like the lore, who I'm personally not that invested in. I mean, I did play D&D, but it was all like homebrew stuff. We didn't like play any of the regular modules, so I don't personally care that much. I'm not attached to it. And anything who's got text or dialogue you have to click on and read, I never read. So unless it's something that I'll experience while running through it, I don't care. So when it comes to the vibe, I do enjoy it. I like Mithranor. It's like let's put it like this. I like it just like I like Feywild. Just Feywild has a tint and a color to it who I can't stand, so this is better. So I'll give it to that. Mithranor looks better as far as I'm considered. But again, every quest you have to run through, it's like even with a character who can run at more than 200%, you're still running a whole like 2 minutes to get to a quest just walking. Right. I mean, they at least should have done the Isle of Dread thing where you get like halfway teleport. Give me a teleport to a certain location. They have like 1 or 2 places you can do that, but there's some of the quests that there's nothing closed. It's just like you're just running the whole map. It's like, why?
Well,
so yeah.
Once you factor in the runs, for me, that's the thing. I don't know if it is technically, I haven't done the math and all that, but for me, the XP per minute felt a little low compared to other content, especially when you factor in the runs. And I don't know if the developers factor in the runs when they put the XP in these quests, when they set the XP numbers.
They should.
Yeah, if they don't, and I don't know if the developers think about that, but if it takes me, a certain, like, let's say it's a 10-minute quest and it takes me 2 minutes to run there, then it should have 20% more XP so that the XP per minute stays consistent. And I just don't know if they've done that with these. Maybe they have. I don't know. I don't know how fast it is. Maybe once you can super zerg the quests, which I can't right now, maybe it's worth it in terms of XP. But for me,
I think
I want to run when I iconic reincarnate, like I'll go run like Defile the Just Flaggers, or I'll go run Giant Hole Sides or something. I don't really want to run Mithranor just because it feels the XP doesn't feel worth it.
So
and I know I'm not going to get loot.
Right? If you're a new player and you have to pick, are you ever going to recommend Mithranor to that new player?
I would never do that.
Not in terms of expansions, no.
The point is, it's the latest expansion, but it's way better to get Isle of Dread. It's way better to get Feywild. Way better to get Saltmarsh for various reasons without talking about them. And I think that's a problem because Mithranor is a really good expansion, but they missed in a couple of key areas where XP, time, loot, all the things that actual gameplay. So I wouldn't recommend it either. I think it's like I said, on my tier list, I put it as a B.
Another thing is, if somebody says he has DDO points he's been grinding out, I would not recommend them buying this. There's much better things to buy. I mean, we're going to get to it soon. The newest adventure pack, I think, is better than this, but whatever. Another reason why you would buy content is for the loot. And again, if you take away all the super rare loot and just leave all the other loot, objectively, I don't think it's better than the loot that we had already before. So, like, even the stuff that I've pulled, I've not used a single piece of all that loot because it's just, if it's not the rare stuff, it's just not better than what we already have. So why would you buy it? It's like, I mean, if somebody said, I want an expansion pack for loot, so I'd say maybe buy Saltmarsh because you can get the level 3 thing. It's very easy to upgrade it. Or if you want Isle of Dread because you can have the Dino-born crafting for weapons.
Absolutely.
Again, I wouldn't, these are like easy things where, like, if you're talking about just loot, I can recommend it for loot. You can't do that for Mithranor. As far as I'm concerned, Mithranor doesn't have loot. That's the way I look at it. So, again, that's the way I see it. I mean, it's like loot.
100%. I agree.
Yeah. No loot. Because of the rare system, they kind of ruined it.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting discussion is the introduction of the sun and moon augments, right? I think that I see where DDO is where SSG is trying to go with it, right? They're trying to simplify the ability to put together a set bonus that works for what you want to do, as opposed to having to create like 3-item sets or 5-item sets. You kind of put together what you want. But like Axel, when he did his video, I'm watching it, I'm watching the math, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm never going to pull the augments I want. So, um, but I think considering that we got sun and moon augments in the new adventure pack, I think this is going to be what they're going to be doing going forward. And so, you know, I want to see, is it going to work? Is it something that's going to long term be beneficial to the game? Me, I'm one of those. If I got a 5-piece Feywild set and a 3-piece Sharn set, when I'm leveling, I'll wear that crap all the way up to level 29. Grab some stuff out of Borderlands when I hit 21. Maybe some stuff from Evening Star if I have some random stuff laying around. But that's pretty much how I do my equipment. I don't gear out my tunes when I'm leveling, and I do a lot of the past lives, right? I don't sit at end game. But if there's a way to craft a set, like Axel was saying, I want something to go with Sharn that's better than my Feywild stuff, right? But if I can't get the Sun and Augment pieces to be able to, or even get the gear to be able to make that stuff, what's the point?
Yeah, and I love the idea of the Sun Moon Augment system because it gives you the flexibility to mix and match set bonuses, but they shouldn't be in the same loot table as the named loot. What they really should have had is a separate, it's just a separate table, a separate chest, whatever, for just the augments. And the other issue is, while it adds flexibility, it inherently doubles the grind time for every single item, even without the rare system, just because if you grind out a 3-piece part of the family set from Sharn, you have to get 3 items. Well, if you need to get 3 items and then 3 set bonuses from augments, that's double. And granted, the augments are unbound, but that means you just have to spend shards to get that, because no one's going to put them on the auction house unless you have friends. I guess that was the idea. If you have friends to trade with, I guess that makes things different. But yeah, I like the idea, but it was a big miss. I think too much stuff is on the rare loot table, and like, I'm not against chaser items. Like, I'm all for like that HP cloak. If they want to make a chaser item from the HP cloak in the wilderness, fine. But like, the vast majority of items shouldn't be behind rare loot tables, in my opinion. Just too much stuff behind rare loot tables, and too much. And the augments should not share the name table with the same table with the base items.
I think that I like the system. I think the Sun and the Moon augment system is a good system, but so far we don't have any actual items to go with it. It's more like, because the items you can actually get right now, like normally, are not better than what we have before. So nobody's gonna actually test them. I mean, they should have done at least some better items, not in the rare table, so we can feel them. But they didn't do that, so they kind of missed it. But hopefully, I mean, if they keep the system up, I'm totally fine with having Sun and Moon augments, as long as you can actually get them. I think they should make either the items rare or I mean, if they just make the augments common, okay, and still make the items hard to get, so at least you still have something you have to grind. Why do you have to do 2 things? Do you have to grind? I mean, like you said, you're doubling the amount of things you have to grind for. So at least make one of them that's hard to get, and the other one, I mean, why double?
Yeah, it's kind of like when we used to have to try to, if we wanted items out of the desert, right? And you hopefully hit the rare that had the item, but then they made it where you can turn in antique bronze tokens to get the items, right? And it's like a decently high amount of antique bronze tokens.
625 or something.
Yeah, something like that allows me to, I can get collectibles and I can turn them in for augments. I would be perfectly fine with that.
What about filigrees? I mean, am I the only one who has 4 million filigrees? Wouldn't it be nice to turn them in and trade them for sun and moon augments?
Uh-huh.
That would be cool.
I'll take that. I doubt they'll do that, but yeah.
We need something to do with the filigrees. Like, I have too many. There's too many filigrees in the game. We need to have some way to upgrade them or
Threads of Fate.
Yes, anything. Literally anything. Like, it's just,
Please,
I have
Threads of
bags
Fate.
and bags filled. Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. Sure.
I don't want to have to solo raids to give you Threads of Fate. It's not fun. You get only a few.
I'm not using any of the new sun and moon stuff or any of the new gear. And my question is, and maybe I don't know this, but can we add a sun and moon augment slot to an item?
No, not right now.
Currently,
no.
no.
Okay, no. I think that would be a solution then to allow us to like stamp our Sharn gear with the Sun and Moon slot or something. Like that might be a way to make this stuff more accessible for players. Because right now I have no plans to farm any of this gear out in Myth Drannor. I do have a bunch of the augments that I've found, right? But I'm not using them because I don't have any slots to put them in. So
I think they've gotten better. I mean, they just recently, with the last patch, increased it from 10 to 16%, and you get them as end rewards, and so so there's some of those things are going to be much better. I guess what kind of disturbed me the whole process is there was lots of feedback that it was way too low, and we kept getting it's working as intended, it's working as intended, it's working as intended until what is it, a week ago, and Verlin goes on the Discord and says, okay, it's not working as intended. So I don't know. It just seemed like it took them a long time to recognize it and want to fix it. So, the ship may have sailed for a lot of folks, but I mean, I think it'll be better going forward.
I don't want to come out too harsh, but the way that they made it with a low drop chance for getting it, basically you'd come there and you'd spend shards to re-roll. It was basically loot crates in DDO.
It was.
I mean,
It was.
it might be illegal. I'm just saying that's how bad it is. If somebody's coming there and spending actual money when they have basically no chance of getting what they think they can get, that's really what it is. You're tantalizing them, saying, "Oh, you can get this item. No, you can't."
that's probably a hot take, but I don't think we should have chest rerolls for specifically exactly what you guys just said. Loot box, basically, it's like gambling. I don't
If
think
it's
we
got a
need
30% chance to drop, I'm okay with it.
I think they should just sell us more patron coffers. Like, come up with patron coffers, $250, $500 ones. Give me a stronghold where I can run around as a drow who looks like a Sith Lord. I don't care, but I would actually pay $1,000 to do that. The other thing too, and people don't often talk about this, but how close is that reroll button to the loot button? I mean, bro,
Yes.
that's a dark pattern. Like that I've played this game since I was 2005, right? Beta that winter. That's sort of, they added that 2009-ish when they did the free to play thing. I mean, it's just I've accidentally re-rolled it, and I know this game really well. I can only imagine like a new player, they must do it all the time. I just think it needs to go. It makes it erodes trust. I think it's important to develop trust. Like, you have to let your players know that you care about them, and yes, they need to make money. I'm all for it, but there's better ways to do it. And I don't think that encouraging people to roll, to gamble on, we see that every hardcore because people need to gear up quickly to do content, especially when we had leaderboards. People would re-roll chests all the time, and it's disheartening, I think, from my perspective. But.
Yeah.
Maybe they should add a reroll button that you can use platinum for, and then you can see it will solve the whole platinum. It will solve the platinum problem on all the servers. The platinum will just disappear in a second.
Oh god, yes. Let me clear out some of my plat, so I quit hitting plat cap on so many of my tunes.
It's a good idea.
Vanish in about one.
It is a really good idea.
Another one that I have about re-rolling is in raids. You can't re-roll with shards, but allow me to re-roll with the runes in my chest. So you get in your chest, you get raid runes. Let me re-roll once. So basically, I'm cutting down the amount of times I have to run the same chest, but I don't get the benefit of having extra runes because of it. So it's a risk and reward, but I don't have to get a group to do the raid again. So that's what you're saving.
Well, anything else on Myth Drannor, guys? I guess one thing we can talk about is the level cap going up to 34. And by the way, anyone watching on stream, something's up with my internet connection. I'm recording on my end, though, so if you miss stuff, it'll be up on YouTube later. But yeah, something's going on with my stream. Sorry, guys, if you're trying to watch live. But anyways, the level cap went up to 34. So any thoughts on that, guys?
Titan's Blood, finally, I don't have to have a 4
Yeah, Titan's Blood is nice.
Not whatever it is, Feywild set.
And we also got in this update new Epic and Destiny feats. So stuff like Eerie Aim, Patience, do you guys use any of the new feats? What do you think of them?
Yeah, I
I
think it's good.
personally, I use like Eerie Aim is like just an obvious one now that I take on every melee character. It's like +10 to hit, and I think some fort bypass or dodge bypass. I can't remember which, but that's like a no brainer now for me, especially when you play it in game. Just to hit is so high. Some of these newer expansions, and then patience. I kind of mixed on that one. Like on the math side of it, it's better, but I'm not a fan of like because it slows you down. Even though you get +1 crit multi, I find that it's mathematically optimal to take it, but it kind of hurts my fun a little bit being slower. So I'm a little mixed on that one. I may not take it sometimes in the future just because it's just not fun being slower, watching your character get slower when you get to level 32 or whatever it is.
Agreed.
I found that it depends.
Titan's blood
heavily
for the
on-
win, though.
Yeah. I found it depends heavily on how fast your character attacks in the first place. If you've got a character who's got a fast attack speed in the first place, that -10%, you don't actually feel it. And mathematically, it's less detrimental because, I mean, if you've got like a single weapon fighter and your attack speed is already plus 130 or 135 or whatever it is, and you drop 10%, it's not 10% from 100, it's 10% from 135 or whatever, and it doesn't feel as bad. And you wouldn't notice it. I thought it was gonna be terrible. I tried it. I was like, I can't tell the difference, but that's because most of the characters I play, even I'm playing quarterstaff, I'm playing a character who's got an extra attack speed for his quarterstaff. You don't actually feel it, so it's like, then the math just is like it's like a pure +1 to all of your crit. That's it. That's what it feels like. But if you have a character who doesn't have any extra bonuses to its attack speed, yeah, you do feel it. It feels kind of sluggish.
Okay, well,
I can say as a
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like having options. I like having additional options.
Okay, so I think they brought, if I remember correctly, I think they brought Crystal Cove back again in September. So we
hey,
had it
Axel,
twice.
can I
this
add
year.
something in about those Destiny feats?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is something that for anybody's watching is new. So I do a minion build as my enchanter warlock minion build. I take minion skills. There is a feat that was added that will auto res your minions for you. One of the new feats, and experimenting with that, it presently does not work if you do Reaper questing, because what happens is the feat triggers the res as soon as the hireling dies. In Reaper Quest, the res, you get a res timer, so the feat doesn't understand the timer, so it just tries to res the tune right away, and because they can't, they're on the timer. That basically makes the feat completely useless. So anybody watching who's
Good to
thinking
know.
about,
I
oh,
never
it's
played
great.
Reaper.
I mean, it just does. It's from my opinion, like they need to make it so that the feat understands that if you're in Reaper, like it's going to check to see if the tune is debuffed with the timer, and then once the debuff is gone, then it'll actually res them.
Does it have
Because
the
right
same
now the
problem in
feat's
raids?
useless.
Either that or bypass the timer. Either one, that would be.
Yeah, that's a
Uber.
great idea too. Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
bypass the
feat
timer, I'm
doesn't
for
work.
that.
Basically, is the point. Like so it's not. If you're out there wondering, like I haven't put out a video. I did make a video. I just haven't put it out yet. But it's about why you shouldn't use that feat.
I have not used it at all, but I normally group. So, but I've heard the same complaints you brought up, Mary, from other players. But yeah, it's seems to be a bit of a miss on that feat. Well, anything else you guys want to say before we move on to other stuff? Like I said, they brought back Crystal Cove again September 19th through 29th. Then they brought Night Revels, of course, which was from October 1st through November 3rd. And we had a new dungeon. How much did you guys run Night Revels this year? Did you like the new dungeon?
I did not.
The ingredient, there's an issue with the ingredient.
Yeah.
It dropped the wrong ingredient. Like there was a bug, and I don't think they ever fixed it because we had an extra. We only had one quest that dropped. I forget if it was almonds or apples or what, but we had one quest that dropped an ingredient. No other quests drop it. Usually there's a second option for every ingredient, but I think the new quest and 2 other quests dropped one particular ingredient, but it was
Didn't
more
drop
efficient.
enough ingredients.
But yeah, it didn't drop enough ingredients, so I ran the other one. I thought it was
I didn't think
okay.
it was that fun. Like it was okay, but
It
it
was
wasn't,
okay.
you know,
I didn't hate it.
compared to other quests, it wasn't that fun, in my opinion. Like they
Yeah.
could have made it a little more engaging.
But there wasn't
It
any
wasn't
reason to
that
run
fun.
it.
It wasn't that bad, and I would have done it if it would have done more ingredients per minute, but it didn't. So I was like,
Yeah, it was
whatever.
way worse ingredients per minute. So unless you're running it for the first time, XP bonus, there's literally no reason to run it.
Well, isn't
That's
the
all I
best
use
first
for.
one the coal
What's that?
chamber? Isn't that one of the best?
Oh yeah, that wasn't there this year. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're
No, that's
doing like
fine.
first time,
Oh, I
no.
don't
I think
know.
it has 2 end chests. No,
I think it's that and the dragon are the 2 that you really want to make sure that you grab for first time.
oh, you mean for XP bonus? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're farming epic XP. Which if you don't know that, if you're new to the DDO and you're wondering, like the best epic XP farm is Night Revels, hands down. You can get like 7 epic past lives farming it.
Yep.
Easy.
Yeah, the big thing with Night Rebels this year for me, so shameless plug. If you guys haven't watched it, I did an interview with Tolero about the history of Maybar and Night Rebels. Went for about an hour and a half, discussed all kinds of stuff, talked about future events and the questing and all the kind of stuff that they've got going on. It was interesting when because I asked her about Coalescence Chamber or Ritual Chamber, I think is what it was called. And she said that there were issues with it. It didn't quite play the way they wanted it to. And so there were tweaking some stuff, but it wasn't where they wanted it to be yet. So that's why we haven't had it for like 3 years. But yeah, the new quest, it was okay. I'm like, okay, who decided to put a Spirit Halloween store in here? That was my first thought. Like, people outside of the United States probably have very little idea what that is even in reference to, right? But I enjoyed it. The conversation with Tolero was very enlightening, not just about Maybar Night Rebels, but some other things. I did ask about Mayban from back in the day, and some of the behind the scenes stuff she did talk about was really interesting. So, but yeah, XP is always great for Night Rebels. I love running it. All my guildies love to run it. We'll just get together and run it just for the first time bonuses.
Yeah, I love Night Rebels. It's always fun. I think it's most people's favorite event. So I ran it quite a bit this year. I got the
Isn't it the only event?
the only event. Well, it's definitely by far the most developed event. I will say that. Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of by default. I see what you're saying, Mary. It's by default. I think most people's event because SSG just puts far more effort into it than other events. It seems like because it's
you
like
play Lotro, there's like 15
don't.
events just like this one,
is there?
and in
Okay.
DDO we have this one.
Yeah.
We need more love over here for our holidays.
But okay. Well, anything else on Night Rebels, guys? I mean, I all I can really say is I did get there was a new mount that was what was it? Was it red?
Wasn't it green?
No, the green
think it
one was
was-
last year. No, it was the teal one last year. I don't know. I don't remember. I see new mounts. I have to get new mounts, so I got the new mounts and I got the purple. I thought the purple cosmetics, the autumn feathers looked pretty cool. So I got
I'm
the.
still bitter over the candy, bro. My
Oh,
candy's busted.
they buffed it. They let's see. They added what did they do? They added
They did.
was
They
it 30
made
seconds
it a
now?
little better. Yeah, but I
It's
mean,
still
it's
kind of
nothing like it used to be.
no, yeah, definitely not.
That candy used to be like
Yeah.
you wanted that on all your characters.
Yeah.
I used to have it on all my characters on all the bars.
I think they decided they didn't want
ever
it
since they
quite that
debuffed it, I
strong.
stopped it. Yeah,
I got rid of them. I don't even use it now. I don't even farm for it.
The thing that bothers me
Too
the
many
most
things to
about
click
it
already.
is that it cancels when you're using it. If you use the candy, you have to be stationary while using it. If you move, it will cancel out your buff. It will just put it on cooldown. Now you can get around that by jumping. So if you jump and use it in the air, that's what I've been doing, is just in between fights, I'll drink it. I'll use my whatever the melee power one.
But you use it on like a boss, right? Basically.
No, I use it it's just on my hotkeys. Just when I see it off cooldown, I'll run in between 2 packs of monsters and I'll jump and I'll use it just to get a little extra melee power. It's not really worth the effort, honestly, but I've been doing it anyway lately.
Yeah, I stopped using them when they nerfed it, changed it, whatever the word is.
Yeah, they did buff it to, I think, 30 seconds, because it was last year. It was really bad.
It was an hour, right?
Huh. It used to be,
in history,
yes.
People watching. You used to basically get these candies. You'd click them off. They'd give you an hour-long buff. They were super useful for all the different characters. So you'd get all 3. It gave you something to chase for like a weaker character or like a first life character.
Basically, like candy in real life. It used to be great, and then they ruined it.
Yeah.
I do still like the death ward potions and the restoration potions.
Oh yeah,
yes, I have tons of
those. Are
those.
amazing.
Awesome stuff. Yeah.
Those and you don't even have to run the event. Just the chocolate that you get running regular quest, you can turn in and get those, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I've got full stacks of those things. I chug them all the time. They're great. The restoration potions.
Beautiful.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about this year, which is going to be a little negative, is the lag issues, which for me seem to happen. The big lag issues seem to start with Night Rebels for me. Like, I remember when Night Rebels was running this year, it was just the servers just did not run well at all. Was that your all's experience?
This whole year
I know
it's been pretty bad.
Yeah, I think this year has been a big struggle with lag.
A lot of
unfortunately,
people have stopped playing because of lag.
Yep.
Now for me, when Night Rebels went away, most of that went away for me, but I know that's not been everyone's experience. And I haven't been playing on Cormier, but I know when Cormier first started, there were a lot of issues, and they seem to have gotten some of that cleaned up. I don't know what it's like now, but I know at first it was quite bad.
Now it's awesome.
Yeah.
The first couple weeks it was unplayable, but now it's in better shape now than the live servers.
What are your all's like, Nomad? Have you had any bad experiences with lag?
Yeah, I mean, the lag, right around the time like the raid came out and then Night Rebels came out around the same time, and that seemed to be like the kickoff point for like just some really bad lag. A lot of it initially I saw on Cormier. I wasn't seeing as much of the lag on Canneth. I don't know if that's because of our server population. It could be. But I wasn't seeing as much lag as I was seeing on Cormier. Cormier, like Mary said, was unplayable.
Oh, God.
You could not. You move and then you wait 5 minutes to move another foot, and then you move 5 feet backwards. Right. Yeah. It was just not working.
And that's not exaggeration either, brother. I mean, I timed it one time, and I would get lag spikes on Orient and Cormier between 3 and 5 minutes. I mean, well, you just couldn't do anything. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. But Canneth, for the most part, was okay. We did have some times, though, when not probably Orient or our Sarlona level, but we had some issues where some of my guildies said, "No, I'm done. I'm not playing anymore today. I'll come back in a couple days and see if it's any better."
Yeah, I
was trying to fill a hardcore lantern.
Now
to Ryan and Cormier got the same problem.
Yeah, so the devs thankfully have been very aware of this, so they have been pretty clear on Discord about what they've been doing, pretty communicative, and yeah, they know about it, and they're putting a lot of resources into it. And I know with Cormier at first, one of the reasons they said was the server resources weren't being used efficiently. Basically, only a small portion of it was being used for players. So I expected them to have some kinks with the 64-bit server starting out, but I wasn't expecting it to be quite this many kinks. But it does seem to be in a much better state now, at least.
Yeah, if you're watching and you're doing hardcore, I have a video on how I call it my Lag Hunter project. It's basically like a solution to deal with the lag. You basically do your location and you jump servers. It's not perfect, but it helps if you're doing hardcore. It helps keep you alive. I mean, we don't need to spend any time on that here, but it's certainly something to check out if you're watching Axel's video and you're doing hardcore on Cormier.
And being a guy that's worked in DevOps IT for a long time, I mean, I think the root comes to something a developer said 1 or 2 years ago about the game didn't launch when we had multi-threaded servers, which is interesting. So the whole SSG engine, or what used to be the turbine engine, had to write its own multi-threading. And I just wonder how that performed well with the new 64-bit servers. I think they found a lot of tuning there. Sounds like through the virtual machines and through the probably KVM or whatever they're doing on the back end. But I think they're hitting it. I mean, because they're exactly right. I mean, because I know from troubleshooting myself, if you're congested on memory and congested on CPU, it's hard to tell where the root problem is because everything looks backed up, and you don't know whether something's backing up this and hiding the root problem or whatever. So, I think they found a lot of stuff on Cormier, and I have to admit I was optimistic, and then I wasn't optimistic, and now I'm super optimistic that they're on the right track of fixing it.
I think one of the things that they've talked about is with the launch of Cormier and the 64-bit server, they have new tools that they can use that weren't available on the 32-bit servers. So they can go in and pinpoint, because Tolero talked about it on her Fridays at 4 that she did with Cordovan, and talked about how they're able to like eliminate this level of noise that they couldn't get through on the 32-bit servers to be able to identify where these issues were. And that's when we started seeing some, what a lot of people would probably just consider weird things. Like, we're going to shut down the Owlbear and we're going to shut down Darling because we saw something with their performance issues, right? But it's given them the capacity to be able to get down to that granular level to be able to identify where these different points of potential lag sources are. They're seeing what the causes are, and then they're kind of being able to trace it back to root causes. And I've been on Cormier a lot over the last 2 weeks because I want to get my Seeker Lantern done before the end of whenever they decide to finish it. And the lag has been tremendously better over on Cormier. I don't worry about playing over there and experiencing lag. And they've done so many tweaks with trying to find where these little things are, and the communication has been, for the most part, pretty good on the Discord server, right? So for those of us, I think all of us are pretty active on the Discord. But when it comes to like the forums and other things, the information's not getting out there, and some people just aren't on Discord.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. That's a pretty good segue. The next thing I was going to talk about.
But the lag's been a lot better.
Was the official DDO Discord opened on August 30th, and that's been, I think, a big hit for the game this year. Not everyone uses Discord, but a lot of people do, and the devs have been very active on there. Unlike the DDO forums where pretty much you only see Cordovan, but it's his job; he has to post there. But you really don't see, outside of Lamania previews, devs talking on the forums. But I've seen a lot of them being really active on the Discord. They seem to like Discord a lot more than the forums, which is kind of understandable. I don't really blame them for that. The forums are the forums. We all know what those are like. So I think something about having a immediate response, be able to be responded to in real time, makes people a little more honest than when you go on the forums and you often see people, do these like a lot of negative posts and such. But it seems to be a good, I don't know, I like it. I haven't been too active over there, but I enjoy a lot of the features. Like, they have the announcement channels where you can feed all that into your own Discord. So I get instant updates of all the news, which has been really nice. But what do y'all think about that? Y'all been using the Discord at all?
Yes. I think it's great. Yeah. Back in the day, I used to use TeamSpeak, and I used to have a forum for the guild. We used to have a website. And when Discord came out, I got rid of the forum and got rid of TeamSpeak, and now everything is just in Discord. So I think like the old school, I think because they're corporate, they probably will keep the forum just to have it for people who don't use Discord because they're not associated with Discord at all. But I think for like actual gamers, most actual gamers are using Discord. So, I mean, it's just natural.
Yeah, and I know people have their complaints about Discord, but man, it's just so much better to organize groups with and to
Yeah,
just to use
absolutely.
voice chat. Like if you're not using Discord, like I would strongly recommend you give it a try because man, the voice chat quality is so much better than the in-game voice chat. And for me, the in-game voice chat really isn't usable because it breaks so much, and just Discord is just so much better. There's so many nice features.
Yeah, if you're doing
Yeah,
a progression team, you want to be in Discord.
yeah.
Okay.
What I do all the time is because I don't, problem with Discord versus the forums is that you can't, if you're not doing searches, you can't it's hard to follow through a thread. But what I do all the time is I just have a standard search for Severlin posts, for Steel Star posts. I can't remember who all posts on there, Cordovan, and then I just go and click on that and read what they wrote, and then I can go back and see the threads from there. It works really well, kind of like the dev tracker. So pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I don't think it works as good as the forums. That's the one complaint I would have is it's difficult. There's a lot of times exclusive information is posted there by the devs because they're just chatting. You don't get that information on the forums, and it's
Right.
difficult. I found it. Maybe I could be better at it, but for me, I found it difficult to get the current information because you have to kind of search for it through Discord rather than have the nice dev tracker on the forums. But
And
overall,
there,
it's a big win for the game.
yeah. And I know there was one Saturday night, like late, like 8 p.m. my time, when Severlin was on the voice channel, just doing a Q&A with like 3 or 4 people. So even then, right, they're active, and they're active outside of normal business hours too. So yeah, I think Discord's a great addition. Um, I wish Troy, if you want to send me instructions on how to set up your dev tracker search, I would love it
Yeah, I'll
because I
show
can
you. Yep.
start tracking stuff.
Yeah,
But
please send it to me too.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, Discord's been a win for sure.
Okay, well, anything else before we get to update 70, guys? We've got a few more of these I want to kind of power through. So, update 70 was on October 23rd. That's where we've talked about it quite a bit, but we got Cormyr and Lanterns in the Mist. And let's see, this is for anyone who doesn't know, Lanterns in the Mist it's the event. It's on Cormyr only, Cormyr being the 64-bit server. And it's basically an event where you get a lantern, you need to kill certain Mossners, Mistwalkers that spawn, kill enough of them, you fill up your lantern and get prizes. I know the big one on there that people have wanted is the Panther mounts. That seems to be the one everyone wants. There is a skull version and a regular version. So the skull version is you get a little skull. It's the same thing, except you get a little skull on it, and that's the same way for all the rewards. And if you go after a skull version, it kind of works like hardcore in that if you die, your lantern gets destroyed, so you lose your progress. So they tried to thread the needle here with offering some kind of hardcore like event because we didn't get hardcore this year. And I think that's had mixed receptions with the community. What do you all think about the event as a
Well,
whole?
it's absolutely hardcore. It's just a hardcore light.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you define hardcore, but
I'd
It
go
kills your
hardcore
progress
twisted.
without killing your
it's
character.
kind of hardcore. It's
Yeah.
like light core. I think is a good name for it because lanterns, right? So a lot of people call it
I've
light
heard
core.
soft core used a lot too, but we won't go there that much. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no penalty box, so your character's not bricked during the event. So I mean, that's a huge change. And there's no leaderboard, so there's no like chase for the members of the hardcore community who really go after the leaderboard. So we're missing two main draws for like the actual old school hardcore. But I think for people who like an extra challenge, it certainly does. Because once you grab the hardcore lanterns, you cannot die. If you die, you fail. So I mean, it is hardcore, but it's not like it was. It's not as hard as it was. The other thing too is it mixes hardcore with softcore. So if you are progressing a hardcore lantern, you group with people who aren't you're getting your Mistwalker, you can't die, but the other people around you can. So it's a much different dynamic than on a hardcore server where everyone risks being put in a penalty box if they fail. So they're not everybody in Lanterns is running around on their A game, basically, is the point. Like a lot of people are just sort of checked out, running through quests, doing stuff, not really paying attention. A lot of times you don't even know the miss spawned, somebody's fighting it in the back. I mean, it's different. It's not hardcore, but it's hardcore-ish. It's okay. I think it's, mid. I wouldn't rate it as a super great event, but it's mid. One of the things that pulls it down to mid, and then I'll end, is the rewards. 99 probably % identical, except for the tiny little skull. So you get like a little bunch of pixels that look like a skull on the hardcore stuff, and that's it. So the cat mount, like everybody's talking about the saber-toothed cat, identical except for a tiny little skull that you can't even see if you're far away from it.
That's what could have made the I guess hardcore element of this more compelling. There should have been a really cool exclusive, even though I wouldn't have gotten it personally because I doubt I would have had time to. I didn't have time to do it this year, but there should have been, like, instead of just a little skull on the panther, why not make like a skull and bones panther?
I
Something
completely
cool
agree,
like
man.
that's
I've
on
said that
fire.
they should be on
I don't know.
fire.
Yeah,
The
like
mount should
yeah,
be blazing or something, so you notice when somebody
yeah.
goes by, like, oh, they did hardcore.
Something more than just putting a little skull you can't see on there would have made the hardcore element of this a lot more
But
compelling
you
to play.
really can't see it.
Because everyone I talked to was like, why would I go for the hardcore version? There's no reason. It's just a little skull. Like, there's
It's a
nothing.
lot of extra
Like,
work.
because if you're going to do the hardcore version, what you want is bragging rights. You want to show off what you did, and you need a big shiny
Right.
thing. And if you don't have that big shiny thing to show off, then it's like, why? So, but I think they're trying with the lantern design here. I think in the future, this is whenever, like, I don't know how long it's going to take, but whenever they get more 64-bit servers going and they open transfers and we can all consolidate more, the idea is that we don't drain the servers. Right now it's draining the servers, but in the future, I think the idea is if we do the event this way, instead of being a separate hardcore server, we're not going to drain the servers. But the downside of that is you take away from the hardcore experience. You take away from the permadeath experience. There is no permadeath.
I mean, it did drain the
So
servers, though.
it did, right?
Yeah,
It
it
is
did.
now, but I think
Absolutely.
the idea is in the future, whenever we finally get the 64-bit transfers
I
open
think
and
the
we're all
only way to not
consolidated, it
drain the
won't.
servers is, I mean, you guys tell me, what do you think?
No, it did definitely
Consolidate
drain the
down to one
servers.
server?
I hope we get down to maybe 2, just in case. 1.
Honestly, I think everybody could go down to one server. Like, I mean,
Right.
maybe it's impractical, but
Yeah. Well, if it's the only problem with that is, like, if there's something wrong with that one server, then we can't play the game. So that's why I'm thinking maybe 2 servers is the best way to
yeah,
go.
but I mean, it's rare though, right? Like, usually the game is
Well,
up. It's rare.
one server's not really a server either. I mean, it's a whole bank of virtual things
Right,
that are
yeah, yeah.
sharing the same hardware as all the other servers. So I mean, so it's I think if we had one big one, that would be ideal, because that's the cool thing about hardcore season is I can run with people that I never run with before because we're on different servers, and that's the cool part about it.
Yeah, that was always the draw for hardcore for me. Yeah, I mean the mechanics are interesting and it's a challenge, but being able to like run with Mary or run with Troy, if we're over on hardcore, and people that it made for great streaming. We're able to group up with other people who are streaming and run together and do stuff. It was good. My take on the lanterns, I know when we talked about it, we were on one of Axel's podcasts, and it was me, Troy, and Axel, and we were talking about Cormier and when it was coming out, the lanterns, what we were going to do. I was going to treat it as hardcore. I tried. I died in the Baudry Cardamon's quest where you had to protect the box at level 4. And because the Miststalker spawned, this was before you had to kill 10 things in order for the Miststalker to spawn. I died and my wife died, and we're just like, you know what? We're just going to do the regular lantern and call it good. And at least we have the option to do that, which I like. Having to go back and re-roll a new tune and then grind all the way through, especially when you were getting later in a hardcore season, when fewer people were playing. I don't like to solo necessarily in hardcore. I like having a group because it gives me more protection. I just have to be aware of what other people are doing. So yeah, it's kind of a fine line. I've enjoyed it. I'm glad that I found a way to kind of grind out lantern things, doing Into the Mists over and over and over again. Because that saved me a bunch of time in terms of trying to wait. And then there's some mechanics that come with it. Mary, I'd be interested to talk with you offline about some of the things that my wife and I discovered last night in terms of when Mist Stalkers spawn.
Yeah. I posted a
so-
video about the most efficient way to fill
Yeah.
a hardcore lantern, by the way, on my channel.
Yeah. So
Hands down, the easiest one. I've tried all the different ways, and that's the easiest way.
yeah.
But I
But-
mean, it's unfortunate because it's really not hardcore.
Right.
I don't think
right.
it scratches the itch, which is why I'm there. I moved to Cormier. It's our new home as far as Death Smile goes, and we'll go to wherever there's new hardcore if they do another traditional hardcore. But I really hope that they decide that the 64-bit servers are successful and then they merge us all down. They figure out how to move. Because on Sarlona, I have like rare pets that I can't get anymore. I have rare mounts that I can't get anymore. I have a lot of things on Sarlona that I would want to move wherever. Like I wouldn't want to just have my stuff on Sarlona deleted. I'd be very sad. So
I can tell you from somebody, and there's lots of people in the same boat, because when they had the mass exodus to, from Galanda to mostly Orion, we moved our whole guild, and you lose a lot. I mean, not just your airship, your astral shards, your shared bank, your mounts, all, like you said, all that is gone, and that's got to get worked out before they do any sort of a migration.
Yeah, one thing that I worry about with the move to a new server, even if they get server transfers in place, I have an old guild name that has a number and a symbol in the guild name before they made it where you cannot use those anymore. And I'm afraid that I'm going to lose that guild name that I've had since 2009 moving over to a new server. Right.
That's what's causing all the lag. Nomad's guild name is
Right.
all hanging up here.
I'm hoping that it'll get grandfathered over. I really do, because it would be really sad to.
Bro, they don't grandfather things.
I know.
No.
Like look at the large guild slots.
Yeah.
Gone.
But that's something, I that's the one thing I don't know if it'll happen, but I hope I don't have to lose the name.
Okay, well, anything
I got
else?
really lucky.
Oh, go ahead.
Like I got the guild name, I got my character name. Like I'm not worried about names, but I'm more worried about like rare pets. Like I have a pet rock on Sarlona that I caught. Cordovan flew over me and on Sarlona one day and threw a rock. He threw a bunch of these pet rocks out and I grabbed one. So I don't have it on Cormier, I have it on Sarlona. I'd want to be able to keep that.
Okay, well, the other thing they did this update was they made adjustments to I know the notable thing was they made adjustments to the fire rate of repeating crossbows for lag reasons. So then they try to increase the DPS numbers to try and compensate. I know some players have had mixed feelings on this because I think definitely the idea from the developers was to keep DPS the same, but I know with different levels of double shot on different characters, that may or may not have been the case. I know, Nomad, I remember last time we did a podcast, you talked a bit about this. Have you changed your mind at all?
No, it's still that tune in particular just still isn't built to take advantage of the increased DPS from the double shot. Just because my double shot's not high enough. But there has been some things that have happened. I've seen talk on various discords about some of the broken damage amounts that certain inquisitive builds are being able to do because some of the things are not working the way they're supposed to. And so I think there's been some attempts to fix it, but from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, but from what I've heard, doing 600,000 points of damage to a raid boss in one shot is pretty ridiculous.
All right, so let's move on to the new stuff now. Update 71, which just happened a few weeks ago on December 11th, was Fall of the Night Brigade. So we got the new adventure pack called also Fall of the Night Brigade. So there's 4 new quests in the Wayloon docks. They are level 4 heroic, level 34 legendary. The quests are Rats in a Cage, the Wizard's Labyrinth, the Night's Edge, and Darkness in the Light. And each of them has its own little theme to it. So the first one's kind of fighter themed. You fight in an arena. The second one is kind of you go in this wizard's tower. Then you have one that's more rogue themed, where the end boss is actually a rogue, and you have a bunch of traps. And then the last one is kind of focused around what I think is a dark cleric. What are you guys' thoughts on the new pack? Do you like it? I know Albar, you seem to really like it, right?
Favorite pack so far
Yeah.
that they've put out in the last few years that I've enjoyed. I don't know. It was just right. I don't know. It felt good. The quests weren't too long. There was something new, and they didn't shove the gimmick down your throat in such a way that it made it impressive. I mean, I like the fact that the Panthers they don't kill you. I mean, they can't kill you, but they don't kill you when you're in a rat form, like one shot. So you don't have to do the stealth part. You can just run past it, and nothing's going to happen to you. I mean, just be fast enough. So they didn't like force you in any kind of a way, and it was just nice. The only thing is, again, the loot. They messed up with having some loot being super rare, but other than that, it was like, yeah, it is. I enjoyed it. I ran it a few times already and I had a lot of fun. It was very good.
I've only run it one time so far. I did solo through them once, I think the day it came out, actually. But yeah, I think it's cool. They tried something different, which I like with the rat mechanic. So you turn into an actual rat. They did expand on the kind of the lanterns intro quest mechanic where you have to hide from something. So you hide from the panther, like Albar mentioned. But no, I liked the feel of them. I liked how each had its own little theme with the different D&D archetypes. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have any complaints. They were a good length for an adventure pack. Basically it was the scope I expect. The only complaint I really have is I think we don't need more level 4 content. I wish it would have been 26 and 34 because we need more mid-epic content, and that would have worked perfectly in Wayloon because you could have gone from the Wayloon quest to this pack when you're doing leveling through epics. I just don't think we need more low-level quests. We have so much already to do with
I
those
didn't think
levels.
we needed more Wayloon content. I mean, that pack came out 15 years ago. Like, I don't understand why when we have Ravenloft, Myth Drannor, Feywild, the Isle of Dread, all these great locations that they're going back to a pack that was probably the least popular, Shadowfell, and it's one of the laggiest zones. Really great place to die if you go there during hardcore. The quests themselves are fun. Like bro, we need polymorph in the game. We need it as a spell. We need mass
cool.
polymorph. Like, come on, we need polymorph. But so I like the quests. I just don't understand why they picked to go to Wayloon Prison, which is content that adult content needs to be refreshed because that gear, like, can you even use that? I don't even think
The
you can
gear
use
is,
that gear anymore.
Mo 2 and
It's so
Shadowfell.
old. So I mean, am I the only one? Maybe this is a hot take, but you guys, like, why isn't it Isle of Dread, Ravenloft, Salt Marsh? Like, what? We have all these wonderful zones. I mean, I was glad it wasn't someplace in the Gatekeeper's Grove, but I was just really surprised. I did it when I did my walkthrough. I actually talk about that. Like, I just can't understand.
Yeah, when I found out where the quests were located, I'm like, okay, that's a really strange place to put level 4 quests.
Exactly. That's another reason it should have been 26.
There's nothing else out there below, like, what, level 15? Like, you're talking Evening Star forward. I don't think there's anything below 15 out there. Right? And so it was just an odd place. It's not a place that new players are going to necessarily go and seek out. Yes, there's easy ways to get to Evening Star now. You don't have to complete the Lords of Dust chain or have the key. You got the gates directly from directly from the Gatekeeper's Grove.
Yeah,
now.
and I
So
should
it's
mention
easy.
that for
Yeah.
anyone watching, they added ways. If you go to the Gatekeeper's Grove, you can now go to Wayloon from the Gatekeeper's Grove. Presumably, they did that because they planned to put this pack. Because if that
Right.
wasn't there, you couldn't get to the level 4 quests unless you had
Yeah.
reincarnated with the Evening Star key or something.
But it is just a strange place, and it's not a place that new players are typically going to seek out to go do content, right? Because it's just not part of the normal flow of leveling. Most like level 4 quests are in a specific area. You go into, House Jarasco, you start getting like the level 6, level 7 quests, right? Each house has like certain levels that you expect to go to.
Yeah, I wonder why those
Um,
couldn't just be in the harbor or something, or the market. Like, why is it in Wayloon, really? I mean, I've only done them once, so maybe there's story reasons for that, but
Yeah,
it
I
seems odd
no.
to just
Well,
put it
that's
in
the
there.
thing.
Just
Like,
take the
why?
NPCs and put them somewhere else. Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense from the lore to put the quest in the prison at level 4. It makes no sense at all. Like, that's what I was saying. I don't like to just randomly pick on decisions that they make, but I just couldn't understand how they thematically chose the Wayloon when there's so
No.
many other locations in the game that would make sense.
I bet they did it because that's just what they wanted to do as developers. They just have a passion for that for whatever reason. That's my suspicion.
I'm
Well, it
holding
seems
out.
a bit forced.
If you scroll back to my comments about Myth Drannor and the City of Shade being dropped from Netheril, and this quest drops Sun and Moon augments, it makes me kind of think it maybe there's a direction somewhere down the line that's going to integrate those two together.
Yeah, maybe they have future plans. Maybe they're going to add more low-level stuff in Forgotten Realms. Maybe that's why they did it. We don't really know.
I would
So
suspect
we'll
if they're
see.
planning to add more things to that area, try to get new players to come to the area, and then add more things and more locations. So yeah, this one might feel forced. So they kind of like
But isn't
shoehorned
it
it
true
in.
that you have to have the Shadowfell expansion to get to Wayloon Prison, right?
Don't
not,
think
No.
I don't
so.
think
Not the
not
public
not the
area.
public,
You
not
just
the
you
public
can't pick
area.
up the quest, and you can't get into the zone, but you can get into the
Oh,
public
okay.
area.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
I was going to say, because
Yeah.
they wouldn't have put an adventure pack there if it was blocked off by having the expansion. Surely.
Maybe they want to like make Forgotten Realm not be only just level 20 and up. They want to make it so low level players could,
I
so
think
you
that's
do
a
level
great
4
idea.
harbor, and then you go to
Yeah,
like
I think
Forgotten
that's
Realms
getting
and
there
have
too.
quests there. It'd be very nice. I mean,
Then just put them in Evening Star.
well, they
I
wanted
don't
to
know.
cross as much of the quest as much of the area as possible. So they made like the farthest back corner of the thing, so you have to walk through all of it. That was intentional. It feels forced, but yeah, that they want you to walk through all of it.
Like it's like the grocery store, you have to get the popular stuff in the back, so you have to
Exactly.
walk by all the other stuff. Yeah.
And since we're talking about the Gatekeeper's Grove and the new thing, my own personal take, I think the Gatekeeper's Grove is starting to get a little bit too crowded. There's a lot of crap in there in a very small.
Well, it's the MacGuffin locate. It's basically where they throw stuff that they don't know where to throw it.
They need to increase the size by like 30%, so it's less crowded. That's all, and make more like distinct landmarks, so it's easier to find it. Because right now it's just like you look through tons of NPCs, turn around, it's a big mess.
Yeah, and to their credit, they did do that this year. They did change up the Gatekeeper's Grove and make it. I think they made it a little bit bigger, but they did reorganize things in there. But yeah, they should probably. I agree. They should probably make it even a little bit bigger, or maybe break some of that stuff up and put it in a separate instance or something.
I want them to give us an underwater area there, like an underwater city.
We have Reaver's Reach,
Probably
which
sounds
is kind
weird,
of
but
Reaver's Reach is
yeah. Well,
underwater.
that's what I want, something like that. But
That would be cool.
More like, when you go into that last quest, the Swahagan underwater, where you're going to the different areas of that temple and you're running
deep?
around. Like I
Oh,
think it'd
okay.
be really cool.
Like Ashley Underwater. Yeah, that's a
have
cool
like
idea. Yeah,
like
that'd be
an
neat.
underwater storm reach type of an area.
But you have a bubble, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it would be like, I think it's cool, and I think that they could sell us like a seahorse mount.
I
No-
see where you're going.
No bubble. Everyone has to play a Warforged.
Under the sea, or an undead character, one of the two.
All right, guys. Well,
Any
anything else?
character with some self healing at a high level just simply can't drown.
So
And
we're
with that,
doing
and
thoughts
one
on
more thing on
ending?
that. One more thing on that before we go is that I don't know about underwater, But they're missing out a whole opportunity. I've been saying this before too, with the Thri-Kreen having a whole city underneath
Oh
Storm
man, I love
Reach.
Thri-Kreen. I absolutely love Thri-Kreen.
I mean, I don't think we'll ever see it as a player character, but as a
No,
monster
but it's too
and a
bad.
whole
They're
city,
great.
it would be beautiful. It
Yeah.
would be wonderful. So if you're listening, if anyone's watched this from SSG, you're missing it. I'm telling you. Thri-Kreen. Okay, I'm sorry.
My last going out thing would be that we need player housing. They need to port all that cool stuff from Lotro over to, just like they did with horses, and give it to us over here in DDO. It would add stuff to the store to let them monetize. They could sell us, trophies and furniture and rugs and stuff like that. And then also it would give us something to do for players who like that kind of stuff. Like I love it. In SWOTOR, 90% what I do is stronghold management, like decorating strongholds. So I certainly would do it in DDO. Elder Scrolls Online had it. Lotro has it. You even get it in Path of Exile. If you pay them enough money, you get a private island that you can decorate. Like it's just a great idea. So I think that in DDO we need it.
Sounds cool to me.
Basically, guild airships who can't fly.
You can
They
start
just
your own
added
solo
it to
guild.
World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft now has player housing. So I think DDO is due.
Okay, well, the other things in this update, we have Festival going on right now. I don't know if there's a lot really to say with that. They mixed up a few of the cookies, but it's Festival.
Sunblade.
I don't know. I think Festival is the most underwhelming of all the events because it's like, okay, you get stuff, you get coins, turn in for cookies that you probably won't use, and if you don't buy a jar from the store, you're not gonna have anywhere to put them. I don't know. What do you guys think about Festival?
Well,
I don't mean to be too
lesson
negative,
on
but
that is that it was the first event that they had in DDO. And back when they released it, the cap for the game is level 10, and not everybody could cast spells. So the cookies made it so that any character could say cast a heal. That was a huge deal back in the day to like have a candy cane when the cap was level 10. The game is different now and the cookies don't matter now, but at one point it was cool.
I wish they would do more, like, to make the event better. If there would be a way where you could pick what we get, that would be awesome. But if they don't want to do that, at least add more cookies that are just fun. Like, I really like the snowman one. I just think that's cool. Like, give me more, like, monsters I can play as. That would be neat.
What happened to what about the ice skating thing? Didn't we used to be able to ice
They
skate
replaced
on the
that with
river?
Snow Peaks. Snow Peaks replaced that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't understand why they don't make that part of festival because that was super fun.
I don't remember their
are you
reasons for getting rid of
talking
that.
about
You're talking about the
ski
Arisia
jumping
ice
or-
games.
No, not
the
the ice
one,
skates.
the Evening Star one,
Yes, but couldn't you do it in the harbor as well? I think
probably.
you could.
So
I had
that
a big
was-
frozen spot there. You could do it.
yeah. So I actually asked Tolero about that when I talked to her on that Maybar stream, and was asking. One of the things that they would look at doing is they would do like what they have with Snow Peaks, where you would have an instanced area rather than having it in general public areas. Because the thing that they have found was, and part of the reason why Maybar didn't work as well, was they were trying to move dungeon area type stuff into public areas, and it didn't play well, right, with each other. And so now that they have the ability to make copies of areas and they can instance it, that was something she said, yeah, we could look at making that area of Evening Star into an instanced thing, because I love the ice skating race in Evening Star. I used to play the heck out of that. I found it a lot more fun than trying to do the ski jumping in the harbor. But you could do it in the harbor. They could do it in different places. It's there. They just have to get into actually doing the work to get it developed. But I would love to see something different with Festival. I mean, Snow Peaks is Snow Peaks. I do the slide because I'm not Axel. I don't like platforming that much. I always razz him about it every time we do one of these podcasts.
Love platforming.
And so, but yeah, I would love to see it. I'd love to see it come back. I know they can do it. I think it's just a matter of getting the time and energy to devote to it.
Okay, well, I think that's it for the most recent update. So I guess we're now to thoughts on the year as a whole. Would you say it's a good, decent, or bad year in terms for DDO? I think that this year we saw some big steps forward in some areas, like the Coromir server was a huge one. eventually getting us on a path to server merges, which I think is the most important thing. They're focusing, even though lag's been bad this year, they seem to be focusing perhaps more than ever on trying to fix it, especially over on Cormier. So hopefully next year at some point we can get all this worked out to where we can actually transfer characters over to the 64-bit server and consolidate. That's like the main positive for this year for me.
But before that happens, they have to figure out how to move Astro shards, how to
They
move
do.
names,
They do, and
guilds,
they want
pet
to. They want to
counts,
do that.
monster
So
manuals. Like there's
I'm
still
crossing
work
my
that they need to
fingers
do.
that they're going to be able to figure that out and they don't hit a wall, but they could hit a wall. I hope they don't.
Yeah, maybe that's not something that we would ever be able to move, and then it would be sort of like just a continuation of what we have now. They might just turn on a few new servers, kind of like what they did over in Lotro, and then keep all the old servers active. But that will fracture the populations, so some servers will feel dead, like Wayfinder, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think the game took a lot of steps forward. However, it took some steps back in terms of, I think the expansion was a miss for a lot of people. For me, it was a mix, but for a lot of people, it was a miss. But what do you guys think? Like, what do you think overall? Do you think it was a good year, decent year? I would say decent year overall.
I think the lag issue casts such an overwhelming shadow over everything else that it's kind of hard to piece it out. I mean, because it just broke the game for so many people, and it's so. I mean, I know there's been lots of nights I intended to stream, and I just dreaded DDO stream for a while because I thought, here I am representing SSG, and I'm gonna have to show this game while I sit, not moving for 5 minutes at a time. It's just.
I think Troy, you there?
It was.
Oh, there you
so
go.
I mean,
it froze for me.
That was really.
Was that just me?
Ironically, that was so cool.
Yeah, I know. Like right during the.
It was
lagged.
intentional. Yeah, it was intentional. But yeah, but I just think that's such a storm cloud over the whole thing. You can't even perceive it. I just hope that people's memories are short and that they get this behind them and we continue to see new content and that we start seeing those people come back. I've seen a few of them, but not.
I mean, something that we have to talk about, and you guys probably have a feeling about this, is the pandemic COVID bubble burst. Video game populations are down all over. Twitch numbers are down all over. I don't know if you guys probably do. You're Twitch streamers. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. This is something that they have to take into consideration as they go forward because there just aren't that many people playing. It's not 2020 when everybody's stuck in the house. And there's hundreds of people logging on. This is a different ecosystem now. So I think to have like a B tier expansion and then massive lag problems, I do think that Cormier is a big W for the game, but there's just a lot of stuff they need to fix because a lot of the people that I know, and you guys know some people too, who stopped playing because of the lag. There are people who stopped streaming because of the lag. It's just something, it's a reality. So like we gotta hopefully 2025 everything gets better, and then the I think the loot thing, like Axel, your video is phenomenal at highlighting. I defended on the forums SSGs because people were saying that there was a bait and switch. That was what I was defending them because it wasn't a bait and switch. But I do think having 30% of the loot chase behind this ultra rare wall is not good for anyone. Like, so my suggestion was that they put like, you get a token to pick a piece of gear if you do a saga. I don't know if that, is, I don't know if they'll actually consider that, but something needs to be done because I think we've all said it. Like, I'm not using any Myth Drannor gear. I'm not using any Technic gear.
They did add, like I said, there's a basically on True Elite 34% chance now to get one of the rare augments, I believe it is, on the saga reward list, but it's still only a third chance basically. And then they increased the wilderness drop rate, but I don't have any data on that. I don't know if it was 0.0001% increase or 5% increase. I don't know.
Is anybody here using any of the Mission or gear?
Nope.
Sparingly. I mean, there's a piece here, a piece there, but nothing that's like a critical piece of my gear set. No.
Oh, I think when I did this
Yeah.
last reincarnation, something I threw something in. I think a belt or something, but
It's
not
I
really
used the
not a
hard
weapon
to
to
set.
check it out. That was it.
Feywild. Like really hard to beat Feywild gear. It's
For
really hard to
heroics,
beat the
yeah.
Isle of Dread weapon. like how do you beat the Isle of Dread weapon? The Isle of Dread
Not a good
artifact.
weapon.
Like
No,
Yeah.
salt marsh gear.
Salt Marsh is amazing.
Saltmarsh is like the king of if you want to be lazy and you just want to get gear,
I
like just
rate
use
Salt
Saltmarsh for
Marsh
everything.
I put that as an A tier. It's not an S tier for me because the quests when you do them, they don't give enough XP in Legendary and Heroic. The XP for the Salt Marsh quests are so low. There's one or two quests out there that give the normal right XP, but most of the quests are way under. It's the same problem we have in Myth Drannor. A lot of the quests don't give enough XP. So Isle of
Yeah.
Dread is S for me. Like that's the go-to recommend if anybody's watching, wondering what to buy. I'd recommend Isle of Dread.
Be careful saying that, Mary, because the typical response is, well, we got to go back and nerf the XP and all those other quests so we can.
Yeah, I hope they don't do
drive
something like that. They need to make it so that if you're doing a legendary quest, man, you should get 100,000 XP, no problem. Like that, it makes sense if you're doing legendary. I think more, but like I did one, I got like 20,000 or 30,000 XP. I'm like, what is this? Is this like there are some heroic
And it's
quests that give
long.
50,000. Yeah, it's not enough. So
All right.
Overall, for me, 2024 has been a good year. Overshadowed by what everyone's already said. Myth Drannor, the loot drop thing was a major overshadow. The crippling lag was another thing. I honestly, day one of Cormier, I was thinking, oh, this is gonna not go well. Right. Day one launch of Cormier was an absolute disaster. I mean, you had VIPs who were logging on and trying to get in, and they couldn't get in. You had people who were not VIP being able to access and create characters. There were all kinds of issues where ultimately they ended up
Test
taking it down.
Dojo was there.
Yeah, I mean there was all kinds of stuff that went wrong with Cormier day one. Luckily, they got it all figured out and sorted,
They did.
which is great. But day one, I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to go. But the lag was the big thing. The loot drop was another big thing. For me, it's still Year of the Dragon. For me, is still, I think, the best thing that they've done all year because it's for everybody.
Right.
That everyone got to celebrate and get something for playing DDO for the year, right? So that was the big win for me. The quests in Myth Drannor, some are okay, some are not. Key to the Mythal is too long.
Oh God.
I don't play Inferno 2.0 because I can't stand that quest. I can't stand Inferno in general, but having to go back and forth in time is just not for me. But yeah, the big one for me was I like the fact we have Cormier, like the fact that they are starting to get past the lag issues. We're starting to see a much better increase in not having so much lag. So those are kind of the things for me. Overall, I think it was a good year, but there were just some major things that kind of put a damper on all of the good things that did happen.
Aldbar, do you or Troy want to say anything about whether you think it was
I
a good
think
year or a decent year?
overall, it ended up being positive. But again, a lot of the things were, I don't know, a lot of things didn't really help. Mythanor, I don't think really helped. I mean, the fact that I think that the newest adventure pack is better than it, and I don't know that the Year of the Dragon was one of the biggest things this year. Yeah, the thing that really makes it is they put all the time and effort into Cormier, and I see it as a very big positive. It's on the right path. I think that that's like,
Right.
it feels very promising. So that's like the thing who really makes me hopeful that eventually we'll get to it's going to get better, and I think that that's so. It was also overall better, but not by much. But the fact that we have this promise of this hope, let's call it, that things are going to get really good is the thing that I'm really looking forward to. If there's one thing that I feel like they didn't address at all, and in a serious way, it was a major setback, is the new player experience, because there's no good way to tell somebody, hey, no, you should check out this game. Here's the link. If you're not there to hold his hand when he starts playing DDO, the chances he can continue playing DDO are basically zero. Because unless he played D&D before and he knows he's going to make a character who's going to be automatically guaranteed to be bricked by level 3 or 4, and then he's going to start suffering and say, I don't want to play this game. So it's like, unless you can bypass that major problem, DDO it's going to be very hard to get new players. And if we want DD, I mean, having a great system where you can play everybody on one server, but not actually having new players come in, eventually the game's going to die. So you have to. This is a major thing that needs to have consideration.
I would love to see them create.
I don't think they did anything serious about it this year. So like, I think that needs help.
Just
giving out new stuff doesn't help.
I would love to see them do a major Korthos revamp, or even maybe add a brand new area, because it's like players going to DDO and the first thing they see is this really, really, really old content. It would be neat. And there's so many things in Korthos. Anyway, that's like getting through a different topic, I guess, but that could probably be a whole podcast, like how to make the game more new player friendly.
Stones need to go away.
To your point, Albert, it's like it reminds me as a sports fan. This feels like when your team's going through a rebuilding year. You know it's going to suck, but you have hope for the future. I think the lag kind of made it like that for me, where I really have a lot of positive hope. On the 64-bit server and the direction on some of the new stuff. The archetypes continue to come in strong, and I hopefully that the Dragon Disciple will be the same. It'll be great for Monk. I mean, I'm all in on the future. I just, this year, I just think that it's hard to talk about anything good, because it's kind of like, kind of like asking, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? It's it's just this horrible event with lag that just overshadowed everything.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, the last thing I want to ask you guys is 2025. What is one thing you think will happen, and what is one thing you hope will happen? So for me, I think we're going to see a Ravenloft mini expansion this year. We already saw a bit of a leak of Lamortia showing up in the Adventure Compendium as a wilderness area. So I can't imagine they would use a Return to Ravenloft just for an adventure pack. So I think we're going to see a Return to Ravenloft mini expansion sometime in the middle of the year, because they've been doing, for anyone who doesn't know, they've been doing a alternating pattern where they do every even year it's a full expansion, every odd year it's a mini expansion. The other thing I want to see, I hope will happen, is more raid content. That's like the main thing, because raiding is my favorite thing to do in DDO, and it has been so dry the past 3 or 4 years. We get like one new raid a year, because if you look, we got like Skeletons in 2022, then we got Fire of Moorgrave in 2023, and this year we got Threats Old and New, and two of those 3 raids are like short and small in scope. So that's the main thing I want to happen. I don't know if it'll happen, but that's the main thing I want to see happen, is like give me like 2 or 3 new raids this year. But yeah, Albar, do you want to start? What is one thing you want to happen, and what's one thing you think will happen?
I already gave my guess of things. I think that future adventure packs might be in Cormyr, so that's why they put this new adventure pack stuck in the back over there, just because they want new players to come and see, Forgotten Realms, and not only once you get to like level 15 at earliest. So I would, just based on that, I'm guessing that they might add new stuff in the game, and you might have to go through Evening Star to get there. So that's like my, I guess, prediction. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on in their heads, so that's like, next thing I know, they'll nerf something. So like, if I had, my positive guess is this, hoping again, the new player experience. If they have these pre-built paths you can go in the game that are all outdated and garbage, please just delete them and make one for each class. I'm willing to make the builds. I'm sure that you guys are also, you have your favorite builds. Just let players who've been playing DDO for years, just give them a build, one fighter, one paladin, one monk. It's fine. And let players have a new build who's up to date. And you know what? You give it, it'll be updated once a year. I don't know. I'm willing to update my build once a year, give them the newest version. And they just have to plug it in. And you can have a way that when you start up a character, you can say, hey, you should try out this build. And I have tons of videos on it or whatever it is. And a player who starts up the game, he knows if he's starting Warlock, he'll actually have a Warlock who'll make it all the way to endgame without, finding itself crippled at level 10. So
yeah, that's a good idea. Even if it's just limited to like one free-to-play race and one type of build, that would be awesome. Because like even if you stick with classic builds, like let's say you make it a 20 barbarian, it's not going to get, it probably won't get very outdated than if you're doing some kind of like super meta, 3 multi-class gimmicky more build. But if you're doing just like a classic pure builds, they're probably not going to get outdated anytime soon. But yeah, that's a good idea. Well, Mary, you want to go next? Just maybe say one thing you think will happen, one thing you hope will happen. Any ideas? You don't have to. You can pass if you want
I know
to.
I know what your hope is.
Sorry, I
I know
didn't
what your
write this
hope
in the
is.
notes. I should have written this in the
black
notes.
I think it's
Cosmetics.
it's one of those things where I am ever optimistic because I love this game, and despite things happening that I personally would not have ever decided to do, I think Cormier and the 64-bit server has been a massive W for this game. I think so. More of that in 2025, whether it's they add a second one or they allow transfers to it, or whether it is like the future of what it means to play DDO, whether they get rid of, see, I think that getting rid of the old 32-bit servers would be financially better for them because then they could just have one data center in Las Vegas. But I don't really know. I don't have access to the numbers. I think that's what I think is going to happen. What I would like to see is player housing. I've already said that. I think that, I think that would be great. I think a VIP where we get a lot more storage also makes sense. I say this stuff all the time. So that's what I would love to see, but I don't expect to see it. But I do hope that the lag is solved because we lost a lot of people over the last year because of the lag. So
Troy or Nomad? Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'll go. I think, and this is a think that could possibly be a hope, but I think by the end of 2025, we're probably going to see the additional 64-bit servers. Considering how well Cormier has progressed over the last 3 months, I think that it's a good possibility that they'll get something figured out by the end of 2025. So that's my thought. My hope, and there's a few, but I'll kind of keep it short. I hope that if they're going to continue the VIP loyalty program, that they make it more enticing to people to want to be VIP rather than, okay, we're doing this because we want to keep people who are already VIP. As all of us know, VIP is one of those things that keeps this game alive and going, right? If it wasn't for as many people as we have as VIP, sure, some people spend money on cosmetics and stuff, but the VIPs are the ones who are the consistent flow of money for the game. And if the 64-bit servers are as expensive as Severlin says they are, then they're going to need everything that they can get. Right. So something, like Mary mentioned earlier, coffers that incentivize people like, yes, I want this stuff. I want to see them. I don't have a problem paying for stuff in the game. All right. I want to see them be able to monetize stuff that needs to be monetized to continue to support the game. So I hope they work on that. And I hadn't thought about it, but Aldebar, you are absolutely 100% correct. The new player experience for this game is absolutely freaking atrocious. I even had friends that came back after guildies that came back after 10 years, and they're basically starting over, right? Because it's a whole new game from 10 years ago. And they were struggling because they're like, all this stuff that I had from 10 years ago doesn't mean anything anymore. And I don't understand. My friend's pulling out like potency items. He's like, yeah, hey, check this out. It's got this X number of potency. I'm like, okay, no, let's move on. Let me show you some new stuff. But not everyone has someone to hold their hand through learning the game. So yeah, new player experience is another thing that I would hope to see as well.
Well, what I think we'll see is a simple one. I think what you said is right about the 64-bit servers. I think we're going to see a lot of focus towards moving guilds and getting folks over there and eventually shutting down those 32-bit servers. It just makes good business sense. The thing I'd like to see, We've already hammered in the ground about the new player experience, so I'll pick something else. Is I would love to see them go back and revisit all the old raid loot, upgrade it, and make the
Troy lagged again. That's not just me, is
rates
it?
worth renting. No, again. Women raid. Is it lagging again?
Yeah, it's
Am I
lagging
lagging
again. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
It's
Once
great
you
on my
say,
screen.
just say what you just said over again. I think you're good now.
My son's probably upstairs doing something gaming too. I would just like to see the raids have a pass and update all the loot, so that I'm sorry if I'm fading again.
No, you're good. You're good now.
Okay, y'all are looking at me odd, like oh, I can't hear.
I just get,
But,
I just get scared. I just hope it's not my internet.
No, I think it's it would solve the problem of not having enough raids if you could run, Plane of Night and Reaver's Fate, and some of those and actually get similar gear to what you get out of the more current raids. I think would be.
Oh, I love a raid
Be
saga.
outstanding.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Oh God, that'd be great too.
Put a bunch of cool things on there you can pick from.
Yeah, and if they revisit it, that could also fix the returning player type thing.
Yeah.
If they could find a way to all of a sudden make your giant hold gear that you've got in the bank be good again.
There's still a lot of loot that needs update. Like the Mo 2 and Shadowfell loot is so bad. No, Mary mentioned that earlier. Yeah. That's so badly in need of an update. The loot, but okay. Is it you guys that are watching on Twitch? If you guys got any questions for us, feel free to type them in the chat now. We're gonna wrap up here pretty soon. Zamex asked, what do you think is the future for hardcore-esque events? I feel like the Lantern event didn't scratch that itch. The server already feels dead for the casual players that rely on public groups. Should they return to the hardcore format? I think Zamex, the idea from SSG right now is that they want it to replace the traditional hardcore. Now, if enough players push back on that, maybe they will eventually do that. But I know with the traditional hardcore seasons, they do drain the regular servers, and that's been the big concern about them. And the idea with the new Lantern event is when we get further down the line, when they do get the transfers open and we all get consolidated more, if they can run that kind of event without draining the servers, that would be optimal. But it isn't the same thing though. It's not the same experience. So maybe they can tweak the Lantern format to make it more of a hardcore experience, definitely make the hardcore rewards more worth it. But I don't think their intention is to ever go back to traditional hardcore seasons. That's just what I think.
They really need to add the leaderboards. Basically,
Leaderboards
how much XP you collected total on your lanterns through multiple lives. I don't care how many, whatever, just goes up as a number on the leaderboards at the end. And yeah, have something to be on the leaderboard on the wall someplace. They definitely have to add it.
Okay. Necrosis.
Also, by the way, the best way to upgrade old loot is just to drop the level. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Giant hold gear, make it level 8. Then you'll see it's worth it.
True. Okay, yep. Necro says, more Patreon coffers to get my money. I'm sure they'll do more of that. I guarantee you they'll do that in 2025. They did a lot of them this year.
They should add an option to pick a patron coffer for VIP after 10 months you've been VIP. Let me pick any patron coffer. That would be a good one.
Maybe it'll be a VIP reward for 2025. 1 month for the VIP system.
Pick a coffer.
Patron coffer selector, yeah. Who knows?
Aggravated Proctologist says, does SSG even advertise DDO? I know I was getting emails about it, and I did see some ads for it, but no, not a lot. Do y'all ever see DDO ads anywhere?
I think most of us who have any social media presence that we follow DDO at all, we see DDO stuff. Because on Facebook, on X,
yes.
You see stuff, but for the most part, if you look at, and when was it Massively OP will do articles on us every once in a while, but other than that, I don't really see it out in the wild in terms of advertisements.
They do some. They made a trailer for Myth Drannor. They try to push that, but most of their advertisement is through social media, though they definitely do some email campaigns. And occasionally, I think when around Myth Drannor came up, I would see some various ads when I go to websites, but there is not a lot. But marketing's expensive. And they have to do their own calculation internally to see, okay, is that worth it or not? And I don't know enough about it.
I think the best advertisement is players, right?
Yeah.
like word of mouth from players.
Yeah, you know what also is an advertisement? This. What we're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean,
And
people
I'm happy to
do,
be an ad.
They want to know that the game is good, and they want to know that the game plays good, and they want to know that they're not going to waste their time or their money coming back to play. If we look at people like Path of Exile is a great example of I think, what is the Path of Exile 1? Didn't that come out in 2012 or something? It's an old game now, and it still has a lot of people who play it, and the progression is similar to DDO with our past lives. It's different, but the complexity scratches an itch. Like, our complexity is very good. Our player design is very good. So I think capitalizing on the new game experience, it would be super useful too, because I agree. I think a lot of people come and try to play it and they just can't.
One of the reasons I make my solo walkthrough and guide videos, it's to save players from struggling in quests. Like, how do you solve this? How do
Yeah,
you do this
absolutely.
puzzle? I can't find
I
a
think
party.
it's
How
bad
can I do
design
this?
though if like a new player has to go to a YouTube channel and spend a month
It
in a
is,
subreddit like trying to figure out how to do a quest. So I
but I
mean,
can't change the design of the quest. I can only make
yeah,
guides.
something needs to be done to make it easier. My idea was that they get rid of Lesser Hearts of Wood and let everybody just respec. I don't understand why we're punishing new players. Like, for me being a veteran, like, yeah, I understand it, but why are we bricking characters?
Now, they
I
do
don't know.
actually give all free players, every new character, a free Lesser Heart, but I still see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Not
oh,
going to get very
absolutely,
far.
but it's not enough
It's
because
not
like a
enough,
new
yeah.
player might make a mistake and need to do it immediately again. It's like
Yeah.
they might need to respec 4 times in 2 days. They're trying stuff out. They don't know. They literally don't know. Like, I'll give you guys a great example. I won't spend any more time on it, but like, I had a friend, he came, he played, he was a warlock. He didn't know he needed to drag his aura to the bar and turn it on. So like, he literally never had it on.
Dude, you'd be surprised at how many players don't know how that you
I
can have more
mean,
than one hotbar. That's
yeah,
like a
I
very common
like,
thing. I, as a new player,
how
didn't know
about
that when I was like 15 years ago, but like I made a video on YouTube, DDO hotbar tutorial for new players. It has thousands and thousands and thousands of views. So many players don't know how,
oh,
like
absolutely.
so many
You
things
must
are
have
not explained.
covered the fact that when you level up and you level up a skill, the hotbar is not updated. You have to copy over. You have to drag the new version of whatever your skill is onto the bar. Like, he didn't know that either.
Every video I do that has some upgrading a thing, I always mention that again. I was like, you
Yeah,
have to drag the new one.
it's anybody's watching and they don't know that. Make sure you're updating your bars. You have to drag all the new copies. Everything that you update, you have to redrag it.
Yeah. So
And
let's
it-
do a
the
new starter area in
yeah,
2025 for new players
the
that
other
explains
thing is,
things better.
yeah, I mean, as part of a new player experience, figure out how to make the character menus more accessible and easier to understand. Because I'll be honest with you, that little plus on the side of your character sheet that drops down and then gives you 5,000 different pieces of data, and trying to figure look, I've been playing for 15 years and I still don't understand half the crap that's on that sheet. And I struggle. I stare at it and I'm like, okay, how much imbue dice do I have? I still don't fully understand imbue dice, right? And if you got a new player who's like, oh yeah, the imbue dice, that sounds good, and they get more and then they just don't understand what it does, you know. So there's a lot that just kind of needs to be revamped in terms of UI and just the general overall new player experience in general.
I think that is a massively interesting topic. Probably good for another podcast, Axel, is getting a bunch of vets together to talk about what they don't understand about the game. Because there's things that I don't understand, and I've been playing this game since it was made,
Oh
like
yeah,
since it was in beta.
and I'm sure there's a lot of
Like,
things I don't know about.
so I
I know
can't
there's.
even imagine some things for a brand new player.
Oh yeah, it's a
Anyway,
Max caster level. Explain that one. Good luck.
yeah, right.
yeah.
Who
Good luck.
knows? I
Why
don't know.
yeah, why is Magic Fang broken for players over the level 34 or for level 34 players? I don't know.
I used it when I was a bear and I didn't really have any issues, but apparently there's an issue.
All right, guys.
Some
Well,
things are bugs, but the things that are working as intended, those are the ones that are scary.
is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap it up here?
I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys today.
Yeah.
Thank
Hope
you
all
guys
have
for spending
great
all this time. I
holidays.
didn't think we'd go this long, but I'm
to
happy
see
to
you
go
guys
this
in
long.
person finally.
Is this the longest podcast so far? Because I want to know I'm breaking a record.
Probably, I think.
I think so. I think last year's went right around 3 hours.
Mr. Nor was about 3 hours on the
Yeah.
dot, so I think we're a little above that. And thankfully, I'm
It's our
recording.
streamers' holiday party is what this is.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
before we finish, why don't you guys go around and plug all your stuff, tell people where they can find you, and I'll also put all the links for you guys, all your stuff in the description on the YouTube side. Albar, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hi. My name is Albar from Albar DDO. Same thing on, well, I guess Twitch and on the forums. I caught the name Albar on the forums also, and I've had the name Albar on every server. So if you see an Albar, somebody you can say hi. Yeah, I primarily make videos with our tutorials, guides to how to play the game, and primarily solo. And includes basically most of the raids in the game, not all of them, but most of the raids in the game also, and all the quests. I think I have a video for every single quest to solo it in some form or another. So if you're getting stuck in some kind of quest and you're like, how do you beat this? Solo walkthrough guides is a chance to find a full-length guide will tell you exactly how to do it. And yeah, I hope you solo it. And if you do make solo raids, please link them. I want to see them. I mean, make videos. I want to see them.
Okay, Mary, you want to go next?
Nice. So MCMXT TV is my YouTube channel. MCMXT is my Twitch handle. I stream DDO content. I also do other games too, but mostly focusing on DDO content. I also do things like build guides, walkthroughs. I do a lot of talking about stuff that's going on, reacting and things like that. And it's a really fun way to spend a Friday night. So I try to put out content a lot about DDO. Hopefully we have a good year next year. Thanks everybody for watching too. I hope everybody has a great holiday.
Nomad, you want to go next?
Yep. Nomad Dog. If you see me on most other servers, I will probably be on Nomad Dog of Kenneth, which is my home server. You can catch me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/nomaddog. Usually stream Wednesdays and Friday nights starting at 6:30 p.m. Hawaii time. I'm going to do the math. 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. It's right. Trust me. I say it enough. And also stream on DDO stream on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be back on DDO stream tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at update 42. I look at all the updates since the game went free to play. We're on update 42. So we're going to be running cogs tomorrow to finish off update 42. So looking forward to that. It's been an interesting exploration of the game for me because there's a lot that I haven't done or haven't done often. And yes, shout out to Albar for his solo videos because those help tremendously. But yeah, Axel, thank you so much for having me on. This is great being on this particular podcast 2 years in a row. Makes it kind of interesting and fun to kind of take a look back over all the stuff that we've done. So thank you. And Mele Kalikimaka, everyone.
You gotta sing it.
Mele Kalikimaka is the thing to say on this bright Hawaiian Christmas day. I can keep going, but I'll let you go.
Why do I think of Christmas Vacation now in Chevy Chase?
See, I'll even give him a few minutes of my promo for that. But I'm Troy on Tavern Tales. You can find me on Twitch on Tavern Tales. I also host DDO Trivia every Tuesday night on DDO Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, though we start before then. Next year is supposed to be a bigger push. Now, I can't tell all the details yet, but let's just say Cordovan and I have been cooking up something to where hopefully we're going to have bigger, better trivia in 2025. Also, starting in 2025 on my stream on Sunday nights, we'll actually be streaming a Dungeons & Dragons online game. So I'll be playing pen and paper 5e with a with a group of DDO players, so it should be a lot of fun. We're doing Vandelver and below for those who are familiar with that quest. So check us out.
Okay, all I want to say is I want to say a couple things. Thank you to Patreon supporters Brent Erickson and Brian Rasmussen. If you want to find links to any of my stuff, Twitch, Patreon, social media, music, you can see that below in my link tree in the description. Thank you everyone for coming today, and Merry Christmas to anyone watching.
Merry Christmas.
Bye everybody.